Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 337. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, along with Johnny V.
You jinxed us. You jinxed the whole house. Last week,
Nostradamus, is that what they say?
last week you made a crack about a water main.
Mm-hmm.
This week, a cracked water main.
Bingo.
Right across the street from my house. Yesterday, I mean, it's obviously all over the country, we're seeing these brutally cold conditions, and I got a knock on my door yesterday. We're going to have to turn off your water because there was a water main break across the street. So not thankfully on my side of the street, not that it matters that much, but they're digging right now a giant hole in pretty much right in front of my house and repairing a water main break. There was one last week right before the podcast, but it was up about a mile or two up the road at one of the major intersections. Now it's in front of my house. So I'm going to have spotty water for the next, 12 hours probably.
Here's what I'm sick of. I'm sick of you and your first world problems. A few months ago, there's too much water in my house. It's all over my basement. It's all over my floors. It's coming in. And now you're complaining about water not being available. Well, make up your damn mind. So
not concerned. It's not a concern.
Not only can I predict the future, I make very solid bets. I bet there's going to be a streaker, not just at the Super Bowl, but also at the Disc Golf Pro Tour All-Star Weekend.
Well, you're not going to be there, thankfully. So that eliminates one.
I'm just one possibility in the sea of many that could be found out at the All-Star Weekend. So thank you guys for joining us. Tonight will be probably a little more laid back as we're the calm before the storm, as they may say. We are just a few days away from the Disc Golf Pro Tour All-Star Weekend, and then, of course, that follows or leads us right into what will be the opening of the Disc Golf Pro Tour for the 2021 season, which will take place, obviously, over there at the Las Vegas Challenge. So tonight, almost as if he is a fresh new guest, we're going to be welcoming Dana Vicich. We may or may not have a one disc, one tip type segment somewhere.
We do. A one disc, one tip with Matt Dollar.
All right. Well, that sounds like
I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah, you would. Would you give him change, though?
No. The whole $1.
Okay. Well, we've got that going on. And if I mean, not that this is an all things Ledgestone kind of night, but as I just said in my Instagram story, you have to pull yourself away from the fresh new bonus content that is just perfectly timed that released just an hour or so ago. I've got round number 2 from MPO fourth card. So if you were thinking like, oh man, where's that Ledgestone fourth card coverage? Oh yeah, from round 2, we've got it. It does feature Trevor Harbolt, Andrew Marweed, Chris Dickerson, and Paul McBeth.
I've never heard of any of those people.
No, well, they're there.
Why am I on this podcast?
And that only warms you up because apparently Disc Golf Scene is not letting you participate in the 2021 version.
Disc Golf Scene, much...
Is that what I've heard?
Much like the rest of the country, frozen. Apparently Disc Golf Scene having some issues with the Ledgestone
registration offerings.
Yeah.
Too many people want in.
Everybody wants in. Site issues. Now, if I ever found the guy who made Disc Golf Scene, I'd fire him.
I did just talk to him the other day.
Did you?
Oh, what a sweetheart.
He is.
Pete Christ over at the PDGA. I didn't even tell you about this yet, so I'll break a little news that's not life and death to most of you.
Do I get a severance check?
We could arrange it.
Sweet.
No, Pete reached out and said from a PDGA perspective, he's wondering how the PDGA scoring application could potentially be more beneficial to post-production teams. He knows. He had asked. He saw the coverage that I released last weekend from the First Last Love at First Sting. And he just asked kind of how I was doing scoring and this and that. And I said, a lot of our teams do have different approaches, whether it's a file that gets imported or whether you're kind of manually doing some calculations or whatever. And of course, with the advent of the live scoring, I'm no longer taking photographs of pictures, or I'm photographs of pictures. That'd be weird. Taking photographs of scorecards.
Sounds like a bad Nickelback song. I'm not sure, but
taking photographs of scorecards as frequently if I know that the round has been scored live and online, because there it keeps us it's all archived with a database there. Although that may have saved Adam Hammonds 2 strokes a few weeks ago, but that's another story in Maricopa. And so I kind of explained to him how a couple of the different post-production teams utilize the scoring and how they integrate scoring into their graphics packages. And we had quite a frank conversation about, things that could possibly be accessible to some of the production teams.
Interesting.
And so I passed on a few words of... I don't know if I'd call them wisdom. A few words
definitely wouldn't.
Of what's the word I'm looking
Knowledge?
for? Yeah, knowledge or
Information.
Yeah, we'll say that. Feedback. That's the word I was really looking for. Passed that on to him, and he said he'll have it done by today. So Pete, checking. Okay, he didn't say that, but anyway, disc golf scene. We'll gloss over that one since that was his other baby.
It was, and I just give him a hard time. Pete's a good guy. So.
Where did you see information? I'm just getting caught up. Was it?
I honestly, on a couple people's
was the Facebook's all
couple people's threads on Facebook. We have a Jenny Sanfilippo normally runs a women's event.
Yep.
And she didn't realize she scheduled it on the same weekend as Ledgestone. And so she was kind of curious, hey, what's going on?
Do people go play that?
Should I move the event? Because I know a lot of the women play Ledgestone. And there were a couple of references saying, no, you don't have to move it. I didn't get in because the site crashed. So there, I wouldn't say quite a few. It was like 1 or 2. But I did see that. And that's where I caught wind of it. But who knows? That is the cool thing to do these days, to have your site crash. All the cool kids are doing it. So
means you're doing something right. Or you did something really wrong.
Or you're doing something very wrong. I don't know.
Speaking of doing things wrong, we are going to bring in our special guest. It's been a while. We love him. Let's roll that intro for Dynamite Dana Vicich.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Dynamite.
T-Dog, Johnny V.
Dana might shave or Dana might not shave?
Dana might not shave. Our audio audience is being done a disservice right now. So please, if you're listening on audio, just take a pause, go check out the YouTube. Behold the wonderness of Dana's beard.
Dang. Well, if you shaved it tomorrow and then you wanted to grow it right back to that exact stage in which it's in right now, what that doesn't take you very long, does it?
This has been going for a little while, but I'm to this length and thickness and fullness, lusciousness. It doesn't get this lush overnight.
No.
So to get this lush, I'm talking, 5 months.
Oh, okay.
To this point, I could have a thin little Zach Melton type beard, soft, very soft, sad Zach Melton, but I prefer to grow a thick, luscious one.
So you'd say your beard matches your Twitter game, and his beard matches his Twitter game. Is that where you're going with this?
Oh, we're going right into Twitter.
No,
that's my safe. That's my safe place. Come on, man. Follow me. I've been in disc golf. Don't worry, I don't have those hot takes. Never mind.
Yes, so hot. All right, buddy. Well, first of all, of course, good to see you. I think we would be we'd be silly not to reference just the silliness in the weather that is the entire country right now. And normally, Midwest, it's snowing. Who cares, guys? Move on. But
Austin has a foot of snow.
Yeah, everybody
Austin,
is. And J. Ray, who was trying to travel through Texas into Arizona yesterday, delayed by 24 hours or so, or at least 12 of them, to slow it down. What do you make of the disc golfers, Dana, that are not used to traveling through and seeing and playing in and experiencing snow. Do you kind of chuckle, or do you have a warm cup of hot chocolate for them? What are you thinking?
No, I mean that kind of worries me because if you're not used to and comfortable traveling in adverse conditions, snowy conditions, we'll say, there's a bit of a learning curve. So especially
For sure.
it's not. Some people, it's not super easy to drive long distances, cross country and all that. Some it isn't, but it's different when you're white knuckling for many hours on end. A white knuckle hour of driving is much different than an hour of driving. So I hope that they listen to their little voice inside their head and, pull over, and whether it's in Podunk, Texas, like J Ray, I don't know where he is. Hopefully he's all right. He's a sweet kid. I hope it's not somewhere too tough for him. But yeah, just be safe out there. There's no reason to get yourself in trouble before the season starts.
If you live in an environment that doesn't normally get snow, somewhere down south, and you're getting snow, take the opportunity, if it's safe, to go to a course and play a snow round. You may never have that opportunity again to play a snow round at your home course. So I saw a couple people posting from Texas, Austin, Dallas area, Plano, that type of thing, getting in their first ever snow round. It's something, it's different. And please be safe. Hope you have the appropriate clothing, waterproof socks, waterproof shoes, a couple layers. Just go play, go have fun. But only if it's safe to get out there. Don't be doing anything dumb. And as Dana referenced, anyone that's driven with Terry knows what white knuckle driving is like. So I've done my fair share of winter road trips with him. This is usually the weekend or last weekend where we would go to Crack Plastic Classic for many, many, many years, and there were that was some dangerous
fun
driving.
Fun times.
I missed the year where apparently you did 2 or 3 donuts.
Interstates, donuts.
And we're not talking food. We're talking driving donuts here. I've seen the highway in the wrong direction a few times.
That's all right. Dana,
now,
go ahead.
Real quick, speaking cracked plastic, you pay me to bring this up. What you play very well there at that event. Was that year Johnny's talking about? Was that the year we're talking 30, 40 below?
No.
Did you lose in a playoff? Is that do I remember correctly? Tell everybody how you used to play disc golf.
Big shout out, Larry LeBond, which then I renamed him to LL Kazoo, has always run the Crack Plastic. Many people talk about that course over at Colebrook in Climax, Michigan, right off of I-94, kind of in that Battle Creek, Kalamazoo area. And fun technical little course that we saw kind of as a redesign in the 2008 Worlds. Again, a lot of people not a fan of the technicality that was there. And it's just one of my favorite places. I've won more money out of that park, even after paying their annual parking dues. I've won more money there than any other course, that's for sure. And yes, been very blessed with some great adventures and victories. I do say, I'll wrap that up by saying, because I could go on about my glory years there. I'll wrap up by saying the single coldest event, though, I legitimately ever did play in my life was at Coldbrook at the Crack Plastic. And they were talking about 40 and 50 below with the wind chills. So it was cold like everybody saw this weekend.
Because it was like 30-mile-an-hour winds, 40 mile an hour winds.
And then the winds were on top of it. And if you go look to this day, obviously they didn't change the PDGA stats, just the number of people that just withdrew, whether they made it through the first round or didn't even make it through the first round, they just withdrew from the event because it was legitimately dangerously cold to be out there if you were not 100% prepared for it. And, that course that's got 24 holes, usually like a pair of 10 or 12 unders is good. I won the event with like a 2 over on the day. And so that kind of puts in, which were rated over 1,000, 1,010 or 30 or whatever it was. That puts it in perspective just how difficult it was. It was brutal. It was brutal for sure.
The thing I remember, aside from the stupid cold and the occasional whiteouts throughout the round because the snow would pick up and 30-mile-an-hour winds, is they had a keg or multiple kegs, and
Always.
they put them in the bathrooms because the bathrooms were heated, and so there's just tons of people hanging out in the bathrooms. Obviously, something we wouldn't see today, but yeah, I think that was my one and only cracked plastic. Taylor, even though I only went once, Taylor Samala for the last I don't know how many dang years, every year except for this year is cracked plastic. We going? You coming? He loves to play. He's from Michigan, loves to go up there and plays pretty well up there. But yeah, I didn't get the text this year, and I'm kind of glad.
Yeah, well, we could even probably reference that briefly. I did not venture over there this year because even though the weekend would have been available, but Larry LeBon had moved courses for the first time ever. He took it away from Colebrook. I think there was maybe some park provisions or something else that was going on, but it wasn't at Colebrook. And I'm like, I'd go strap up and play again. I'd take it all day. But when he went to a new course, I'm like, I was driving, just not the same.
I was driving up north this weekend with my wife, and we're driving up, and her birthday is on. It's about 5 days ago, and I look at her and I go, remember the days when I would just leave you on your birthday and go play? And she turned and she's like, yeah, you go play the cracked plastic. And when my wife remembers the name of an event, you know that it's a sore spot because for like the first 8 years that we dated, it was, birthday. It was like, see you later, hon.
More like the cracked marriage.
Hey, I kept her.
Anyway, so Dynamite, what have you been keeping yourself busy with?
Oh boy, that's a loaded question. Not a whole lot, really. Just I think like many others out there, trying to stay sane through these winter months. The weather's been brutally cold, lots of snow, and then also just we're still in a pandemic, so living life a little bit differently. So hanging out here, we've had we're all good, but I can't remember last time I've been on, but we had some COVID in the house. Everybody's okay now. So we were locked down for quite some time through Christmas and New Year's. So I can tell you once I tested negative and was out of quarantine and all that, made plans to go play disc golf immediately. I'm like, I haven't played in weeks and weeks and weeks. And me and DG Mike and myself, Mike Fierke, were at Delwood playing, and I'm so excited to be out there. It's a pretty nice day. And 6th hole, step up, throw a shot, and just tweak something in my back and neck, and I couldn't even finish the round. And so then, out for a couple of weeks because I'm stiff and all that. And then we get the brutal cold, and so I'm jonesing for disc golf over here. I will sit every Tuesday. I sit by the phone. I know no one's texting me to play because I don't play and it's cold. And then the next thing is, all right, is he gonna text? Is he gonna call? I need some disc golf in my life. And today the stars lined.
You got the call.
I got the call, and here I am.
Well, it can't be too bad over at the Vicich household. I also saw a picture of you guys, champagne flutes and hanging out in a hot tub. I mean, it's below zero for most of the country, and you guys are just chilling in a hot tub? Or not chilling in a hot tub?
Yeah, cooking in a hot tub. No, our in-law or my in-laws have a place in Michigan, and they were very gracious enough. They had an open weekend, so us, Ashley and the girls, we went up there and just kind of watched the lake effect snow literally all weekend, and did hop in the hot tub with the girls for a few minutes. They enjoyed themselves, but it was pretty much basically what we were doing here, sitting around the fire. We just went up and did it a couple hours north, and there just happened to be a hot tub So.
All right. Well, let's get into some of the real business, which is this upcoming weekend. All-Star Weekend, which is the first. And
can we play Smash Mouth on this
yes.
podcast? I don't know if we're allowed to.
They're not going to come after us. Of course, there was a lot of response as soon as the All-Star Weekend got announced, and it was, trying to take place in January, I believe, in December or January in Florida. COVID and everything else had kind of a different take and different spin on that for this year. And a lot of people were talking about formats and who could be there. And as soon as they invited 16, people said it should have been 32 or 48 or 99 people. Like, everybody had a different take on it. But here we are. It's pushed into Fountain Hills. We've got 9 holes of safari golf. The format has, I think, now been finalized to doubles mixed with some singles, matching up for various seeds. And we get to check out Fountain Hills, which I don't think we're going to see in another live capacity this year. That's got to be exciting, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's a beautiful park. It's long time been a place for live disc golf, good cell signal, and obviously the fountain going off and the mountains in the distance make it a really nice place to play. So yeah, it's exciting to see that, and then hearing that it's a little bit of a abnormal layout, we'll say. Mm-hmm. Safari, as you said, makes it sound pretty interesting because fountain could be freshened up in that aspect. Not that it's not fun to watch when it's in its normal layout, but stretching it out and seeing what these all-stars can do, especially early in the year, should be a lot of fun. Should be a nice ease into the season there.
Yeah, and Emily is on the board asking why did they decide to do the doubles or even the format that they're playing with the best shot and the tough shot. To be frank, I don't think any of the three of us know, other than just to change it up, just to do something a little bit out of the ordinary. There was such a good response to the major that's going to be the new format. It was like, hey, let's...
Do you want to know my thought, my guess?
Not usually, but since we have a show, we might as well.
I think it might come down to UDisc. I don't know if UDisc was prepared for match play. And maybe they are, and I don't know behind the scenes. It's one of those things that I think they were looking at building into the system, and I don't know if necessarily they were finished. And
sounds like you're throwing shade.
Not at all. I mean, they trust me.
I've seen you throw. You wouldn't hit him anyway.
Well, depends how I throw it. If I forehand it, definitely not. Just in general, I think that might be one of the reasons why it didn't go down that way. And I don't know for sure. I haven't talked to anyone about it. That is just a
hunch
of mine.
Wow. Well, usually Matt or Josh or both are on the board,
and if
ready
they are,
to scream at you.
They can pop on the board and say, "No, John, we were totally ready, you jerk." But I do know that we're going to have them on the show in another week or two because they're going to come on and talk about some new updates to UDisc, a new stat, which we don't know about yet. Yeah.
So Dana, I think it's been officially clarified that they are playing what's now been deemed as tough shot. You've been around long enough. Have you seen or played some tough shot or worse shot, or have you seen it been implemented? Have you played it with any buddies or in anything remotely serious? And can you explain it for everybody?
Yeah, we've occasionally, when you get bored of playing singles and doubles and all that, you want to shake things up. We'll throw in some tough shot or worse shot, and this could be played differently in different places, so we'll probably have to do some clarification. But the way I've played it is you basically just you and a partner throw and you play from the worst shot. And then do you have to make each putt?
That's where tough shot. Yeah, that's where tough shot gets its name, is that in true worst shot, both players have to hole out. So if someone throws one in from 100 feet as a birdie, your partner needs to throw it in from 100 feet to get the birdie as well. But in tough shot, once the hole is completed by one or the other players, then or one of the two players on the team, then the hole is then effectively complete. And I really say that it was great that I think it was Chuck Kennedy who finally came up with that term, because otherwise older people like us would always say, well, is it worst shot or is it true worst shot? So instead of using those two descriptors, we say, is it worst shot or is it tough shot?
Okay, I got it. And just for good measure, I'm going to say Chuck Kennedy. 2 more times to see if he shows up. Please, board. Chuck, if you're out there, let us know that you're still here and with us. If not, we're gonna do a little welfare check tonight after the show.
Good call. So that and also the other team then chooses what your worst shot is, and of course it would be unsportsmanlike or anything like that. Some people have wondered about ways to get around that, but I think there's going to be some legitimate strategy as to when you think about things like the fountain, are they putting into a headwind? Can water come into play if somebody's throwing a putt or an approach shot? There's some things that can be thought about, and of course, we all know that necessarily the toughest shot or the worst shot isn't one that is always the farthest away. It could be closer with some form of obstruction or a goofy lie or something like that. So there's some legitimate strategies that may come into play out there.
Yeah, and to me, it normally wouldn't be too interesting, but we're literally watching the top, we'll call it 15 or 20 men and women in the world do it, and so that'll be interesting. And then also you talk about choosing the other team's worst lie, and so it'll be interesting to hear if there's mics. If the Disc Golf Network team has some mics on the players and you can hear some of the insights and what they're saying and thinking, I think that could be interesting. And, there could be some good sound bites to come out of it, whether it's, teammates talking strategy or, anything wild happening or, smack talk even.
Well, and I think this is the type of environment where some of that stuff could be really shined upon. I don't think we're going to see players mic'd up. In fact, I know we're not going to see players mic'd up, but I think we can get in there with the cameras. Players can talk a little trash because it is for the fans, so to speak. I mean, there's money on the line, but these guys, they can make this happen at a level of fun that you can't do anywhere else. At almost any other event this year, we're going to be able to see, people trash talking, hopefully. And hopefully it's all in good fun, I don't need anyone bringing up any any old wounds or no your mama jokes. So I think we'll be fine there.
I'd love to get in on that trash talking. I got plenty of things to say to these guys.
Well, you've known a lot of them longer than.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, though, Dana. Having the players and then the players themselves talking about their own strategy for their team. If someone's more conservative, someone's maybe a little bit more aggressive, what kind of trouble that will get them in. Clearly, if someone goes out of bounds in your team, that's more than likely going to be the worst shot of the two of them, and they're going to be a little bit more aggressive. There's just so much strategy that can come into play, and I think it'll be really fun because I feel like a lot of our viewers are probably a little bit newer to the sport and haven't necessarily played or seen this kind of golf before, even though it's been around forever.
And I do want to say that if you want to watch this, Disc Golf Network is the place.
Oh.
I do not believe there's going to be any post-production of this. I think it's going to be strictly live. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I haven't heard of anything for post-production. So if you're interested in this, Disc Golf Network, DGN, sign up. Make sure you are a subscriber so you can get in on the action. They're going to be doing some sort of press conferences on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday the actual action happens.
Right on.
Is there extra pressure, Dana? I mean, when you play best shot, you throw a shot, you park it. It's kind of a joke with your partner, like, oh, get it closer or go for the ace run. You throw and park a very difficult shot, and it's tough shot. Your partner has to equal that, or you're going to have to play from that. I mean, it's kind of a weird reverse pressure, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what one of the nice things about this format, because these players are so good. If they were playing best shot, a lot of the the second shots are going to be just, not that there's anything wrong with ace runs and throw-ins and all that. They're just going to be, and the first person is most likely going to be parking the shot, and the second just going to run it. Now it's actually thought process, decisions, and then, as you said, pressure. And normally, there might not be so much pressure, but it is fountain, so players could throw in the water. But yeah, the pressure element is what kind of excites me about this format personally.
Have you scrutinized or looked at the teams very in depth? And they were all done by Seedings. I think Johnny might be able to pull them up for us, and we could double check them. But do you like that the seedings were done the way they were, or would you have rather seen 1 and 2 get matched up to give them the advantage, for instance, because that's where they finished in the season, as opposed to the 1 and the 8 seed?
No, I like that it's spread out. It makes things a little bit more. It makes things a little bit more on the interesting side. The one thing that did jump out to me when I checked out the top 8 players, my first thought was, are there any players that are coming off or coming into new sponsorships? And because you go to Fountain, and one of the things about playing at Fountain is you're going to throw in the fountain, most likely, whether it's in practice, in the event, or otherwise. You're likely going to throw a disc in there, and those discs don't always come back. Especially if it's more than a few feet. So for somebody learning a new bag, I was kind of interested. I wanted to see what that might look like. One, because it seen the new disc they're throwing. 2, but that has implications. When you've only got a few months to learn discs, and you go and you all of a sudden, before the season technically starts, lose a couple of your big bad drivers. That's not a good feeling going into that first Pro Tour event in Vegas the next week.
Well, good call. That is something to consider, and what our viewers are seeing. As Johnny's pulled up on the screen, we can quickly recap for you that we have the 1 and 8 seeds that are teamed up, and that is on the MPO side, that's Paul Macbeth along with Double G, Garrett Gerthy. On the FPO side, that's Paige Pierce with Heather Young, so they'll be teamed up. Arguably the 2 best putters in the FPO division. So we'll see if that what kind of advantage that potentially gives them. The 2 and 7 seeds are Katrina Allen and Kona Panis, and then Heimberg and Kevin Jones.
I'm kind of curious, and I know Kat has talked about how she doesn't want to talk about her putting much, but we've seen both of these players, Kona and Kat, have issues with putting in the last year. So I am curious to see whether or not having the backstop of another player will help them out.
Sure.
Will give them more confidence to be able to run these things a little bit better.
All right, we'll take a look at the next setups. We have the 3 and 6 seeds, which include Jessica Weiss is matched up with Sarah Holcomb, a couple of kind of forehand dominant players. So that's kind of a interesting, initial take on the FPO side.
You don't know what Jessica Weiss is going to throw.
I know.
Please don't tell me.
I know she's got lefty. She's got lefty shots. She's got everything. I'm just saying, are those our 2 best forehand FPO players, at least in the finals they are here. And then you've got Nico matched up with Ricky, good touring buddies. They've played, obviously everybody knows each other, but they've toured together a little more than some other of the combos. And then Chris Dickerson and Eagle McMahon are partners along with Haley King and Missy Gannon.
I mean, all those teams are stacked, but
of course,
you gotta love the Dickerson Eagle, just the solid driving consistency and the putting. I think that is if I had to take a wager, that would be my odds-on favorite, that team to shoot the best score after the first day.
Yeah, that's Dana. Would that be your take as well? Are they the most overall consistent?
I think you have to call them the most consistent, and then you just have to really then say, hey, right, they both have the incredibly good backhand, dominant forehand. Like that's like at that kind of at the type of course Fountain is, you can throw the the hyzer however you want, whether it's forehand or backhand, and those guys being able to have the accuracy and power, that's deadly to go along with that great putting.
But now here, this may or may not prove to be kind of an it factor or not. There's going to be something said about team chemistry. There's raw skills and power and all that other good stuff. There is something to be said about team chemistry. And I guess what I was alluding to there, or I was mentioning a moment ago, Ricky and Nico have known each other. They've enjoyed each other's company and hung out for a decade. I mean, they've been in tour, on tour, and around each other probably more than almost any of those other combos, as opposed to, say, a McMahon and a Dickerson. You've got an exclusive chicken eater and an anti-animal eater. No, that aside.
And a chickpea.
But
You've got a chicken eater and a chickpea.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not suggesting they're not friendly and they're not buddies and all that other good stuff, but they don't practically know each other's thoughts to the point where, like, a Ricky and a Nico are truly that close. Is that factor in at all out there at this course? I mean, and would it more at, say, an Idlewild as opposed to here at a more wide open Fountain Hills course?
Man, that's an interesting thought. I hadn't gone that far, but most certainly the whole team chemistry thing, you could be onto something there, because there is something to be said about it, momentum and chemistry and all that. And we're usually not talking chemistry because it's singles, but now you mentioned Ricky and Nico having a long history, that could go a ways for them. But
one's the
yin and yang of chicken and non-chicken, though. I really like that.
Ricky's known as arguably the fastest player on the tour,
and Nico's not.
Yin and yang.
That's a fair statement. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see how it's all going to shake out. I
want to see. Honestly, I'm hoping for some team to not get along.
Somebody gets pushed in the poop water.
No. But then I want to see how that rolls over to the next day. If there's a little trash talk, like, oh, you couldn't hit that putt yesterday, huh?
Okay, yeah.
So, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Now, too bad there wasn't a world where we had Ricky and Paul teamed up.
That'd break the internet.
Would they fist bump an ace? Or would they fist bump a putt?
Yeah, they would be extremely tolerable, and they would get along just fine in front of the cameras and in public. And we know that they're not friendly. I won't say they're not friendly. They're not close friends off the course. And
but they're also not, setting spike strips under the other's tires. So
I mean, granted, wasn't it Ricky that stole Paul's bag at the Memorial years ago?
That 1 year. Yeah. Maybe that'd be funny if he showed up this weekend and said, "Oh, here, I thought you might like this." I don't know if you still throw these, but
well, thanks. I'll throw them now, though.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a joke, people. Ricky did not steal Paul's bag. A lot of our viewers are newer, so they don't even remember.
Yeah, they don't even know what that is.
When Paul's bag was stolen out of the back of his truck. What, 6 years ago?
Oh, gosh.
Maybe longer than that?
No, it was about 4 or 5.
4 or 5 years ago?
I feel like we were on the pro tour at that point.
Yeah, and so Paul had to play with all new discs. So that just so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah, and then like Tim is saying on the board, you've got the ultimate hype train. Calvin Heimberg and Kevin Jones. I mean, that's just hype and more hype, right? No?
If Kevin's not riding on Calvin's shoulders at some point on the weekend,
it's a loss.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Oh gosh.
I could can see Kevin showing up in Calvin's sunglasses.
Yeah. Yep. I can see
matching sunglasses. That's going to be great.
Oh my gosh. I am so, yeah. It's funny. The more we talk about it, the more I'm excited about all the possibilities of what we're going to see out there. So
don't let us down, pros. That's what we're saying. Make it fun.
Yeah.
It's your one job this weekend.
Here's what I don't know. Let's add that to the list. Here's what else I don't know.
Grand Canyon.
I honestly don't know what they're playing for.
They were all paid ahead of time. I don't know if there is a bonus structure for the winners, but I know that expenses were paid, and I think a base, some sort of base payment. But I don't know what the bonus is, if any. I'd assume there is some.
Okay, Dana, you don't know.
Elevate their disc golf rich status, maybe. I don't know.
True.
Okay. Go ahead. You got some results.
I was going to ask if Dana wanted to talk about the any results from this weekend.
Some of which were abridged.
Yeah. We were talking earlier. LLK Zoos cracked plastic, jumped over to a new course, and this is Spring Valley Park. Another 24-hole course, but Nate Wergen beat Patrick Nemmer in the MPO division. Patrick from Illinois, not a name I'm super familiar with, but Jeff Bennett finished in third place. Tim Weimer shredded in the Masters 50 division, would have won the Open division. And then just a quick side, I checked out the results from the MP40 day, which was on Saturday, and Jeff Bennett was a name I saw on the MP40 list. He must be, unless I missed it last year, he must be a 39-year-old looking to turn 40 here pretty soon.
Yeah, and if there's a state where you're going to see someone like Jeff Bennett, assuming he's not traveling too much, like he used to, and he stays somewhat either stateside or regional, look for a lot of the Jeff Bennett double dips, probably, right? That's just easy pickings for that side armor.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, Jeff Bennett he was a longtime touring pro, but he was one of those pros that played every single weekend. And if he could play 3 tournaments in a weekend, he was doing it. He was Emerson Keith before Emerson Keith was probably even potty trained. But yeah, great player, sidearm specialist. But unfortunately,
actually, if I remember correctly, taught Sarah Holcomb her sidearm way back in the day.
I think was quite influential. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I won't go that far, but definitely probably played a role in developing that. We also had, we're talking Texas earlier. There was an A tier down there, 261 total players. Looks like they got 2 rounds in. I believe Terry, do you know if this event was shortened due to the weather?
I'm sorry, I think if you're talking about one of them in Texas, then I think the answer is yes. I know at least one Texas event was shortened.
The 38th annual Victoria Open driven by Innova.
Yeah, I saw a few different people posting throughout the weekend, and I knew there was multiple events going on down there, and I know that there was one round that was canceled for sure. Yeah.
It would make sense. Texas doesn't usually have a lot of these bigger events. These A tiers aren't usually just 2 rounds for them.
Yeah.
So
it
would make a lot of sense.
Well, nonetheless, like the shortened USDGC, there was a winner at the shortened Victoria Open, and it was Raven Newsom. He won by 1 throw over GT Hancock, who beat Mason Ford and Tanner Gerard, who finished in a tie for 3rd. The lovable Bradley Williams finished in 5th place, but Raven Newsom 1024, 1044 for the $1,201 payday, and then the Open Women division 10 total players, so pretty darn strong, or pretty big field, and it was also pretty darn strong. A lot of players over 900 and even over that 920 mark. And in the end, it was a playoff between Lisa Fakis and Stephanie Vincent. I think I saw somewhere it went 4 or 5 holes, but Lisa was able to take the victory there and net herself $511. Stephanie finished in second. Valerie Manahueno finished in third, and Julie Eagle finished in fourth. So congratulations to the winners there, and hopefully everybody made it back home without too much issue.
Yeah, and I'll just quickly give a recap because I can pull it right off of Lisa Fakis' wall where she said she's the Victoria Open champion. Crazy last round followed by a sudden death playoff that lasted 4 holes, of course with Stephanie, as you mentioned. And then it says, due to winter weather advisory, round 3 got canceled. So, yeah, that is exactly what we saw out there. So, yeah, of course, congratulations to Lisa. And like you said earlier, Johnny, just the whole idea of so many people out there playing in conditions and or seeing and experiencing. I saw Brad Williams make a post yesterday, Bradley, about being out there and playing in the snow. And again, those are things we all take for granted and don't think much of. But I think of someone else like, wow, yeah, that might literally be the first time they've done that or had that experience. And hopefully, if you can do it safely, it's good more people are getting out to try it. I'm sorry you have to. And I'm sorry when you leave the course and you go home, you still don't have power. So I'm sorry that. But hopefully you picked up a few birdies that keep you warm for your venture back home.
Yeah, and this talking about this playing in the snow earlier reminded me, before Climo more or less retired from competitive play, he was up in Japan, and they had for an event, and I think Avery was up there, maybe a few other players. It wasn't the Japan Open, but they had a big snowstorm come through, and it was allegedly, the champ's first time playing in the snow. And there's there's a few pictures and maybe a video clip or two. I don't know. Terry, do you remember, or Johnny, what year that was? That had to be like maybe
that was like
07, 08.
Yeah, that sounds about right. 08, right around there.
I know at one point Val and Avery had gone over for a distance competition, and it ended up snowing. And I didn't know if Kenny was involved with that. If I'm mixing stories or experiences. I think you're mixing stories a little bit. Okay, I do. If I recall, they had gone over there for some terrible conditions. I don't remember if it had snowed or not, but I know they were brought over there for that at one point. But yeah, very, very funny to think that, someone like Kenny and so many of our, players that when, again, we always chuckle when they're like, oh, we played in an ice bowl this weekend. It was 67. We're like, yeah, you did. Sure. But it's all relative, I suppose. And I'm going to throw it out there. Avery always used to say that he didn't really find a lot of value in playing in the winter. You're putting on extra clothes that you're not used to wearing, and you're probably bending and doing things that your body and everything else isn't used to. It's just not applicable come summer. And he didn't feel like winter play was really good for your overall disc golf development. And I always thought that was a really interesting perspective. I
can agree with that.
It makes sense.
I don't think winter golf helps you become a better disc golfer for like the pro tour. Like you could make an argument about how it strengthens your mental game, how it forces you to slow down and focus more. There are aspects, but if you're talking strict like form, function, things like that, improvement, winter golf does none of that for you because it is a completely different beast than when you're playing in slacks and a t-shirt on the course somewhere. 100%. But I do think you can, with almost any round, probably pull some sort of nuggets out to improve upon.
So Dana, when we think about the winter and this year, of course Finland and Estonia, all of those countries, we're seeing our players over there. It seems like they go out and play regardless. Do you ever have conversations with any of your Discmania, team members or coworkers or, Kristen Tatar, for instance? I know it wasn't golf, but she said I've been winter swimming for the last few weeks and taking that up for all sorts of other great health reasons. But everybody over there seems to be golfing in the winter.
Yeah, I mean from my understanding, the Finnish people love winter, and they, as we know, love disc golf. So little bit of snow and cold isn't going to stop them. But the thing that I have picked up over the years is they all. It seems like all the top players, they're always posting clips of them playing indoors too. Like seems like there's lots of indoor spaces that you know big domes and whatnot. That you see like over here, soccer being played in, volleyball and all that. But I always feel like I see like a lot of the top players indoors as well as playing throughout the winter even.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because they take it so much more serious in a lot of the other countries, and because it's so much more of a recognized sport, having an indoor facility, having those means where available to them is just something that we're not nearly as used to. It's almost a treat if we can find some indoor space or facility that disc golfers get to come in and use for a day or for a weekend. When over there, they're just like, yeah, that's just part of the regular winter routine, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other events that we wanted to touch on that jumped out at you?
Yeah, over in Arkansas, of all places, we had the Luke Humphreys presents Let's Get Back to Golf, and I believe he ran one of the first B tiers coming out of when the pandemic began and disc golf started back up out at this facility. I've heard great things about it. Permission Ridge, I believe, is the name of the course. But yeah, had some studs come down and play in the MPO division. 20 total players, and we had some players north of 1,000, even north of 1020, and that would be Kyle Klein. But unfortunately for Kyle, he was unable to win. He finished in a tie for second with Noah Mensma. They were beat by a gentleman from Missouri, Jason Hebenheimer, PDJ number 43762, 991 rated. But yeah, Jason went down there and played some good disc golf. 1039, 993. It was enough to hold off that star-studded field. Noah Mensma, Kyle Klein, Coda Hatfield finishing fourth, tied with Luke Humphreys. So congratulations to Jason. If you click on his PDGA, doesn't have any other events that he's signed up for, it looks like, but he's already played a couple this year, and he's got a nice win under his belt.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, and this is of no disrespect to Jason Hebenheimer. I think it's fair to say, though, if anyone were to lay down some cash on this weekend's results, him edging or besting Noah Meinsma, Kyle Klein, Coda Hatfield, Luke Humphreys, him besting all of them, not just one of them, but all of them. And of course, he's rated 991. It's not like, it's not like he's rated 910 and this was insane. But not too many people, I think, would have taken that bet and taken Jason to take down all those other players. So very impressive.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even a rusty Kyle Klein coming out of, I say rusty just because he's a Michigan boy. He's been up there all winter. He hasn't been anywhere warm. So with Kyle coming out of kind of Michigan winter to knock the rust off at this event, it's not a total surprise that he didn't find himself in the winner circle. But Noah, I've been watching his social media. He's been all over California, Arizona. He's been playing a lot of disc golf this winter, but he is playing with some new discs. So could be a couple reasons why those two didn't necessarily perform. But it doesn't really look like anybody shot that well that second round. They played the gold layout round 2, which is par 66, and nobody even sniffed par. I think the best was a 71, and that was by Noah, and that was 999 rated.
It's really interesting to not see anyone rated over 1,000 in that round. Like you almost expect that regardless of who it is, someone would push over 1,000 based on. So something seems a little fishy there, but you never know. I mean, it could just be that a couple players, and it could depend on conditions. It could be that if the conditions were kind of miserable and it tightens the field, some of your lower rated players score higher, and some of your higher players don't hit that specific spot, that it crunches the ratings a little bit. I mean, who knows? But
all right, I'm gonna chime in from the board, and I'm gonna be thoroughly. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. Somebody's suggesting I'm not giving him his props. I'm not saying that at all. But someone
not giving people props.
Someone's making the case that Jason is Jake, and if that's the case, then I know who Jake is. I'm just thoroughly confused. We'll see if we can get that sorted out. Someone's also saying he has a brother named Jake. So one way or another, we'll see if we can get it figured out. Noah Schwebby is asking on the board. Noah has switched sponsors, which is what you were alluding to, right, Dana? That he used to be sponsored by Innova, and now he is sponsored by DGA?
Correct.
Okay, yes. So I wanted to put that out there. And the other thing I wanted to put out there, you were talking about Kyle maybe being a little rusty. I think Kyle actually had some form of a foot or hand surgery, maybe left wrist or left hand. Does that sound right?
Yeah. I forgot that I saw that. I don't remember when it was, but it sounded like it was something pretty minor, but may have kept him from throwing or training as much as he would have liked to.
And we have confirmation from one Zach Melton.
Oh,
that says it's a big driver course. Jake, when he goes by, has the drives to slay that course. So he goes by Jake. His name is Jason. Terry, apparently you do know him.
Okay. Well, that makes more sense then, because going by Jason did not ring a bell. So
Zach says his putting has always been a question. I smoke the guy all the time. He has zero skill. Oh, no, he didn't say that. His putting has always been the question. Sounds like he made enough putts to take it down, though.
Awesome. Well, and it also says that he is touring for the first time this year, and he is actually sponsored and lives by Permisson Ridge. So glad to get it all out there.
Is the wrong PDJ number in there? Okay.
I don't know. Whatever.
Jeez, it's like we're not prepared for our show.
Listen, this is what we have Dana for.
Yeah, but he has to be prepared then.
Do you remember show notes?
I do. Remember, for a while we were really good. I had like 2 or 3 years worth of show notes where it'd be who's on the show, this and that. I'd share them with Dana, and then at some point they just went out the window, and it was like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I have a not so fun game I want to play with you, Dana, and maybe Terry.
Ooh, I don't like the sound of that.
We're going to talk 2021. I want Terry to name a player, and Dana, I want you to tell me their average finishing position at the Elite and NT events this year.
Where they're going to finish in 2021
at the end of the year. At the end of the year,
like,
if you take their average finishing position, whereabouts do you think they're going to be?
Was it, just to be clear, is that their average finishing position, or in as an average, or like what place they're taking within the top 50? Because those aren't necessarily
the same. I want the average finishing position at the event. I don't care about the final tour standings.
Okay.
I don't
so
care
if they played in 4 events and they won all 4 events,
then their average finishing will be 1.
But in the tour, they might finish in 30th.
I don't care about the tour.
Okay.
Like, I love the tour, but don't care about it.
Jeez.
All right, Terry, name a player, and let's have people get mad at Dana.
Zach Melton. I mean, he was begging for it.
And I'm going to write these down because I'm going to check these at the end of the year.
Ooh. This is like the...
Is Zach a DNS? Did not start, injured right now? Like, when is the hashtag return?
I think he is trying to get in sometime late spring is what his goal is.
So I think a healthy Zach Melton coming off an injury, we could see him with an average of 16th place. I think he'd be happy with that coming off an injury potentially.
All right. How about we'll give you an easy one. Calvin Heimberg.
That's what I was going to say.
Where do you think Calvin, who started and ended the tour with wins, I think for the past 2 years, where do you think what's Calvin's average finishing position this year?
Can anyone tell me if he's picked a disc up since his last event?
Does it matter?
Does that matter?
Yeah, I was just going to say. Are you doubting him?
No, absolutely not. Calvin, we're talking 4th place. He's going to average 4th.
Okay.
Heather Young. What will her average finishing position be? She's planning on being on the tour, as far as I know, for pretty much everything. Where will she average?
2nd.
Wow.
Dang.
Wow, nice.
I'm high on Heather Young.
Wow. I like it. That's some big math, though, because to average 2nd, she would need to
couple wins
and a couple thirds.
Wow.
So
that's good.
Or 2nd at every single event. Okay.
There. I said it.
You did. Dang.
Double G. Garrett Gurthey.
Ooh. He's inside the top 10. He's been playing all winter. Not that he hasn't, but he's coming off a few years of dedicated to disc golf, won some big events.
He's also distracted by the jerky business.
He's got a booming jerky business. Yeah, you're right.
Is that where he makes prank phone calls? Is he officially like a jerky boy now?
Yes.
Okay. Great 90s reference again.
Johnny. Yes, I think Double G, we're going to see him somewhere around that 9 spot. Is going to be his average.
All right, we'll go a little younger then. I just referenced him. He may be distracted by the lady friend in his life that is also out on tour. He's got a new. He's given up his hand to give to her. I don't know. Kyle Klein. What is the young sophomore on tour, the Discmania sponsored? It's going to get awkward. Kyle Klein. Where do you see him?
1. Dana says 1.
Where do you see his average finish?
Whew, that's a good one. We'll call this, he's done some touring, but first full year on tour, there's going to be some, there's going to be a little bit of learning curve here and there, I think, especially with, some of these courses not having been played before. But when you are a phenom like Kyle Klein, that doesn't always matter. But I'm looking, I think he's going to be right behind Double G. I think we could see him average in 10th place. And that could include a first place and a 20th place finish for Kyle. We saw some great disc golf from him, some nerves of steel, some amazing putting. We saw him grind it out at the USDGC. He's on his way up, and I see no reason, if he stays healthy, that he doesn't win an event this year. But I think in the same breath, a young player like that could, we could see him finish 20th here or there, but also popping wins off.
Brody Smith.
37th,
okay,
maybe. He's a great player, but boy, there's a lot of great players out there.
On average, there's 37 players rated higher than him. I mean, if you're just playing a numbers game, even
for sure,
there's most of these events. Yeah, there's gonna be. So I don't think that's a. And don't come at me. I know ratings only mean so much. I'm just saying, like, what some may perceive as an insult for any player.
Well,
I don't think that's the case at all.
That's
when
the
we
whole
talk
point
about
of this game is to have pros be mad at Dana.
Oh, okay.
So
then in that case, Ezra Aderhold, maybe one of the most unknown / yet watched. Is he under one of the biggest microscopes this year? anticipation.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was a huge question mark because he was, usually players of his caliber are already sponsored, especially if they're outspoken and very social media active. He, by those regards, he could have been and probably should have been sponsored much earlier than this year, but he wrote out the year with only the best discs as his main sponsor, OTB. Shout out to the boys out there in Cali, but yeah, that's a good one. But he's got a fresh bag, but he's in shape and been throwing discs since the season ended. So there shouldn't be too much of a learning curve on that front. But boy, and he came to my local course and just absolutely filleted it over the summer. Shot just a ridiculous round at the Clash at the Canyon. So a lot of people around here, big fans, high on him, myself included. But I think he's going to be on that north side of 20. Probably we'll go 23. Michael Jordan, which I think it's a good spot for him. He's a up and coming player. You're finishing 23rd at 23rd average. At these Elite Series events, that probably means his rating's gone up. It's probably going to be on its way to 10-20. So I think that's a nice. That would, if he at the end of the year said, I finished 20 or average 23rd, I think that would be a good season for him.
Okay, well, Cody Garner is vastly disagrees. He, I lean a little more on your scale than I would on Cody's, but Cody has him finishing on an average of 5th, and I think let's be real. Ezra would take it, but and I got a lot of faith in that guy, and I'm excited to watch him.
Wow.
I don't see an average finishing position of 5th being his place just yet.
Let's throw you a few softballs here, maybe. Paul McBeth. Is this the year? Does Paul continue his dominance? Or is this the year that people are really starting to whisper that he's past his prime?
Ooh, while you do that, I'll look up last year's average.
Todd Line is on the board. He was kind of spitting one out, one or two out earlier. He had said
I could like you more, Todd, if you did.
So,
boy, Paul McBeth. I'd have a hard time saying that. What did I said Kyle Klein, or who did I? Boy,
you gave Heather Young 2. You gave Kelvin 4.
Yep. Okay. I mean, I don't see Paul outside. I don't see Paul outside of one hand this year or the next or the following, as long as he's healthy. Which I don't imagine that's been much of a topic lately. Last year, I think we were talking about his foot and his touring plans, and having a shortened season and all that, and then the year kind of got blown up, and maybe that slow start to the season let him finish the season. But yeah, he's not going anywhere outside the top 5. But I don't know what he's going to do when he gets out to Arizona and Vegas, because he's been out playing in the woods in Virginia. And he's going to get out there in the wide open. I don't think he's going to know what to do.
Well, I just took the 9 Pro Tour events, just those. I did not include USDGC, the Pro Tour Championships, which is a goofier format. So I took the 9 Pro Tours that he played in. He did have an abysmal showing at the DGLO of 10th place finish, which really honestly did kill his overall numbers. He had 28 total places divided by 9.
Do you want to tell Dana that before he gives me a number, or?
He just said top 5. He'll finish in the top 5.
So you're saying 5, 4? What are you giving me?
I'd be comfortable at a 3rd place average for Paul.
He averaged 3.11 in the 9 Disc Golf Pro Tour events. Again,
I'd give you that.
The DGLO with his 10th place finish there, which is one of his worst finishes of an event he completes. That's one of his worst finishes in that's an outlier over the last few years, in fact. I mean, he finished 10th at Vegas a couple years ago. And obviously, he had that USDGC a few years ago. But seeing Paul outside the top 10 is something you don't normally find until you go back to 2018. Oh God, what a terrible year that was. It's 57 grand.
You should see who he tied with at the Beaver State Fling in 2000.
2005 or something. When he played amateur and he was 14 and Dana was there. No. All right. What? Like 2009 maybe? Was that that could have been roughly a time when Dana there's a 17th place finish. I just randomly grabbed a year. A 17th place finish. No, Dana.
Well, this was, I don't know. I think we tied somewhere around Last Cash. It's probably one of his worst events he's
ever played. And it was a Dana career highlight weekend.
We tied.
Dana was throwing him in from everywhere. And
having the weekend of his life. And Paul was...
Well, we were State Fling, so I was having the weekend.
I know.
Yeah,
I remember that.
All right. Someone on the board asks, Owen Scoggins. How's Owen going to do this year?
Yeah, I was thinking her too, assuming she's out playing more.
If she's playing the tour more, and I don't know how much she plans on playing this year, if she's just going to kind of do that West Coast swing, or if she's going to hit some of the other ones. We've seen Owen has a nose for the basket.
Yeah. Wow.
Let me interject real quick to help you. She signed up for Vegas, Memorial, Waco, St. Patty's Classic, Texas for the national tour, DD's national tour, the Challenge at Goat Hill, the OTB Open, the Portland Open. So
a handful of them all on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So or Western. So
where do you see Owen finishing?
Owen is someone that has that capability to go out and win on the right weekend, no doubt. But I'm thinking it's going to be on one hand. I think fifth. I think we could see her averaging fifth place, and that's going to include some of those, and maybe that second and third range, probably maybe a couple in there, and then a few on the other side of that.
All right.
I think fifth is too low. I think she's going to average higher than that with her out there playing quite a bit this year. I don't see her having any terrible weekends.
So
I don't feel like that's in it for her. And
so you're thinking a 4?
3 or 4 as an average. I really do. I've got a lot of faith in Owen's skill sets, and she's not fresh to golf, but she's going to be kind of fresh in terms of on the tour scene, and I think she's going to be a contender every single weekend.
Okay.
How about?
I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun to watch.
One last question from me, or maybe Terry has a few more, but
I got a real good one.
I want to ask one. Over under, Paige Pierce wins 9 of the elite events. That's the 11 Pro Tours and 6 NTs. So she
and we know she's skipping at least one.
She's skipping. Oh, that's right. She's skipping one. Ooh. So over
so
under
at 9,
basically
so
about 50%.
Oh, wait. How many total are there?
Well, he said 16, and then we said 15, and now he's saying 9 is 50% of that. But
well,
yeah. So
yeah, if she's playing 14 events, she's gonna win double digit. She's gonna win 10 of those. I just watched that short clip she put up the other day. Paige, I feel like Paige has been one of those players that once the season ends, she's been more out exploring, having fun, not necessarily disc golfing and practicing and training. And she was in Hawaii earlier this off season, and I wasn't quite sure entirely what all she was doing there, but she put out a short clip the other day. Sounded like she was doing some training, some soul searching, maybe just some getting that peace and quiet, getting more comfortable with herself, being alone. So I see all those things as big time positives. When we're happy and positive in our lives, I feel like that translates over to good disc golf. At least in my case, I feel that happens. And for Paige, one, to be growing as a person, and then also training. So she was training every day, eating healthy and doing all this training, putting. That's dangerous. That, like, Paige Pierce practiced training, not that she hasn't in the past, but to the level that she did this off season, that could spell second place for everybody else, 2nd through 30th.
Yeah. All right, Terry, I'll give you the last one.
Yeah, and I borrowed it from the board, but it is very fitting because last year, Adam Hammes took down the Shelley Sharp. 2 weeks later, wins Maricopa. This year, he takes down the Shelley Sharp after a not so amazing first round. Then he got some contacts, but takes down Shelley Sharp. 2 weeks later, wins Maricopa. And a lot of the comments, of course, he played well. He made lots of great putts. He obviously had to perform and play well. No one's second guessing that. But then everyone did want to, all the naysayers wanted to say, yeah, but how's he going to do against everyone else on not so wide open courses? So all of that with reference, where do you see the now much more seasoned Adam Hammes, who admittedly himself has said, I've grown up, I've matured, COVID and other things have matured me. Where do you see Adam Hammes?
Yeah, to the person that talks about him shredding the open courses, we definitely got to throw it back a few years to the Georgia World Championships, where we really saw him emerge. And where did he do that? On those wooded courses. It was mostly led by his putter, but he was putting himself in position there. And then we saw him also compete at the Hall of Fame Classic on those heavily wooded courses. And he's in northern Wisconsin, also very traditionally heavily wooded courses. So he's no stranger to playing in those types of courses. But for him, it's all, if his putts are going in and he's maintaining a some sort of positive outlook, or maybe not necessarily positive, but not beating himself up, we'll say, we could see him on some lead cards. I don't know if we'll see him in the winner circle. So I'm going to go ahead and put his average at 13th. And I say that with thinking that he'll have some, he'll be around that top 5 a few times, and then 25th sometimes.
All right. So you are predicting your homeboy, your sponsored young gun, Kyle Klein, to put the smackdown on Adam Hammes. That's the trash you're talking here, Dana.
I hear you. Scralton blood on a P2 or a Adam Hammes CT World Challenger.
I'd put it on a P2, but I don't think anyone can get a hold of any discs right now.
Oh, hey,
not just Discmania, but just anybody, any discs. No one's getting Discraft discs, no one's getting Innova discs, no one's getting any discs right now. So,
well, I've got a few for sale.
I know.
Grow the sport.
P2s, people are on the hunt for those, huh? Should I sell any of the ones that I have?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be more P2s produced, so the Discmania market is pretty smoking right now. So you want to get double your DX money, then you go do that.
I like it.
Do you have any inside information about Discmania for us? Someone had asked earlier on the board about some 5 original discs or something. I don't know what's going on. Maybe you can fill us in with as much detail as you can give us.
Yeah. So we're right now not getting the discs that we need, and that's due to last year's growth and COVID and all of that. So we're looking at trimming some of our offerings down. So when we run P2s and get P2s, we can get higher quantities versus maybe making a full 10 or 12 disc lineup. So this year, trimming it down to something like 4 or 5 or 6 models, and what those would be, I'm not entirely sure. But if a P2 wasn't one of those discs, then I'd be really surprised. So for you hoarding your P2s, they're going to be made again at some point.
So just to make the clarification, though, it's just a matter of, not everything can get produced in as many mass quantities as you guys are hoping for. Therefore, you just may not offer them in the limited quantities that you would otherwise see them, and you're just hold them back in general. Is that pretty much what you're trying to say?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. That's accurate. One insight I can give, probably one of the most asked questions by disc golf, some of the vendors and dealers and disc golf shops I work with, is, when are you getting the Essence in again? Everybody's asking about the Essence. It was arguably our best disc of 2020. It's a fairway driver, just very easy to throw, but Essences are going to be available very, very soon. So that's some news I can share with you. We've got an Evolution line restock that is coming in the very near future.
So you don't know the exact 6 minutes they're going to be available.
Just put me on the list. I'll take some, Dana. Whatever the max vendor quantity is, send them my way.
Will do, T and Terry and Johnny.
I'm only reacting to the current conditions of disc golf right now. Tournaments are selling out in record time. Discs are selling out in record time. Websites are crashing in record time. It's an amazing time to be alive.
MVP's site crashed the other day with James's release. Who's next?
I hope they crash my YouTube channel. So many people watch it.
Yeah, because like I said, by no means should you be taking any of this as an insult, because it's happening to everybody. The minute discs, especially popular ones, apparently like the Essence, are put up for sale, they're gone. It doesn't matter how many you make. If you make 1,000 or 5,000, they're gone, like that. So it's as we've been saying for months, it's a great problem to have, but it's still a problem, and it's great for the manufacturers. But there are people who want their discs, man.
Yeah.
So
that's how
the old double-edged sword, I think is what they say.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, did you see any of the MJ banger at the Eager Beaver? Did you see any of that?
I did. I was watching it last night. In fact, was that the second round you're talking?
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched the front nine.
So really my segue was to get at Holly Finley making a post today saying she'd love, and there's a lot of people that love a lot of things, but she'd love to see a Worlds back in Charlotte. Do you feel like is that a reoccurring place that if we could, we should be back in Charlotte every 3 to 5 years, or no? I mean, they got a lot of courses. Yeah. They got an insane club.
Yeah, they got a lot of things going for them. I wouldn't be upset to see a Worlds go there every 5 years, especially when you could. I don't know if you want to. I don't know. It's hard to say with the MPO side and FPO side. It feels like it's trending to 1 or 2 courses, so you don't really get to take advantage of all the courses. So yes, a Worlds in Charlotte on the MPO and FPO side, I feel like you've got to pair it up with like a Winthrop, just to get that, I don't know, that balance style of golf. But yeah, I went to the Charlotte Worlds. It was a ton of fun. So many courses, so many disc golfers. But do they have that MPO gold level course?
And I was kind of shaking my head only because I'm thinking, and I know it's 2 different times of the year, but it feels like Charlotte has kind of been the de facto standard for the Pro Tour finale
for the last 2 years, and
I don't know,
like maybe,
and so we get to see that, we get to at least see Hornet's Nest And they have plenty of other courses there, but I wouldn't be opposed to a 5-year plan for Charlotte, as long as we got to see a variety of courses. I think they do. Like you said, they need a more wide open bomber course, and you need a much more long finesse course.
Well, I forgot about Hornets Nest, that it was back in action. I don't know how after the Pro Tour finals, but so they do. Not to say their courses aren't difficult, like the course from round 1, Rennie Gold. It could probably be a little bit stretched out to meet today's needs if possible, but that's still an incredible course. Nevin, incredible course. Mm-hmm. Tons of great courses. Bradford, I thought was great.
Yep.
But yeah, not to say it needs to pair with a wide open course, but what we saw at, we'll say, Brewster Ridge, Fox Run, what we're going to see this summer out in Utah. I personally like it, that it just gives a little bit for the World Championships. If you're not going to play a bunch of different courses, having two different courses makes sense in my head.
Okay. Again, just throwing it out there. I mean, really, it was just a long-winded way to get a plug in there for my coverage. But no, I did see Holly. No, I saw Holly post about it today. We know how she loves Woods Golf regardless. So, someone like her lobbying for it, is no real surprise. But we also know that Charlotte is clearly a destination and a mecca that could potentially play host to an event like that every few years. And I'm not downplaying any of the work that goes into it. I understand all of the work. I'm just saying they're a great suitor for that type of situation. So, all right, Dynamite, anything you want to share with us before we let you go tonight?
No, I don't think I've got too much. No big announcements, no teases of big announcements. Maybe there's a big announcement coming. I don't know. Maybe it's huge.
Maybe it's not.
Well, if it is, you know where to find us, Dana.
Yeah, Dana. We're right here.
If Terry doesn't return your calls, you can always call me.
Noted, Johnny. Noted.
I got you.
Hopefully I'll see you guys sooner than later, maybe with one of those announcements.
All right, buddy.
That sounds awesome.
Well, thank you. Thanks for stepping in tonight, giving us some great insight. Looking forward to this weekend. Looking forward to what all of the 2021 season has. I think you and I might find each other maybe teamed up in some capacity and working on some stuff, and looking forward to all of it here in 2021.
I'll just say it. Dana's on the list for commentary.
What?
Yeah. I'm done with secrets. Dana might be stepping into the commentary booth at some point with us this year. I don't know when. I don't know where. I haven't looked at the official schedule to find out, but I did see his name was being thrown around.
He was penciled in, and I'm like, who do I want touching my leg under the table during commentary? And Dana's on that list.
That's a really long list, to be honest. Dana, I would not feel special. There's about 50 people on that list.
But he's on it. That's the important part.
I take it back. There's only about 50 people not on that list.
All right, buddy.
So well, now that Johnny said it, looking at doing some Silver Series lead card live commentary.
I hope so. I hope we get to see here up in Milwaukee and get to go out for a dinner or something. That'd be a lot of fun.
Count me in. Dinner and a drink.
Dinner
Johnny
and a
B,
drink.
Nightbox on Disc Golf Network.
Well, if I can,
we'll find their account. We'll bill it to them somehow.
I see Mo quite a bit. I can take his credit card. If not, I've got a SmashBoxx card. We'll make it. We'll make it happen.
All right, we'll talk.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Well, we love you. Take care of the fam. Stay out of the hot tubs, but stay nice and warm, and keep growing that beard. We'll see you soon.
See you then.
All right, good night.
And without any further ado, we've been teasing this for a week or two. We do have an Ace Run Productions, one disc, one tip with Mr. Matt Dollar, Hold the Change. We're going to play that here. It's a couple minutes long, so I want everyone to just kind of sit back, relax, and please take some time to learn something from Matt Dollar.
Hey guys, it's Felix with Ace Run Productions. We are back for a brand new season of One Disc, One Tip, and we've got our first guest for 2021, MVP team captain, Mr. Matt Dollar.
What's up, Felix?
Hey, Matt. So thanks so much for taking the time to do this segment with us, Matt. So obviously you've been playing for a long time. We know you locally here around Georgia, but how long have you actually been playing the sport of disc golf?
20 years now. 20 years, so more than half my life.
Wow. So we know you've got through a ton of discs in that time. Right now you're with MVP for the last couple of years.
Yeah, this will be year 4.
Wow. So thinking about what's in your bag now, something that can make an impact from anybody from a beginner all the way up to pro, one disc that you can select from your bag, what disc would that be?
I'm going to go with the Electron Soft Envy, and the reason being in the Electron Soft plastic, which is like baseline but also softer, it really starts out nice and stable with a good little finish, but also if you hit it with high power, it can go straight. Basically, it's just a point and shoot disc, and in the Electron Soft plastic, it beats in nicely. So if you play woods golf like my course here, Dollar Hills, you're going to be hitting lots of trees, and the disc will change, and you just like get to fall in love with a hyzer flip. Also a great putter. I putt with them too, and it's my favorite putter of all time, I guess. I mean, I make all the long putts with it because it's got crazy good glides. So this is definitely my one disc I'd recommend.
You've gone through a lot of tournaments and all that stuff. Any tip that you can recommend, mental side, physical side, that would have an impact on somebody's game?
Yeah, I'd say as far as tournament golf goes, I think playing small ball is huge. Know your skill set, know your limitations, and you know, weigh whether or not like it's more probable you get a birdie or a bogey, or how many times you're going to par. Basically, don't go for stuff that you shouldn't go for, and don't go for crazy putts. A lot of times you can just pitch back the fairway and take your medicine after a bad shot or a bad kick, and it saves you a lot of mental stress later in the round, and that mental stress will just build if you let it. So you really want to play small ball and keep yourself calm and just stay, you know, mentally tough.
Simplify the game, keep it simple, stay in bounds.
Yes, sir.
Brilliant advice from the team captain of MVP again, Matt Dollar. Just want to thank you for taking the time out to do this segment with us. Any sponsors, anybody that you want to thank along the way?
I just want to give a big shout out to MVP. They're making some insane plastic. If you haven't seen all the new stuff, check it out. The plastic is more beautiful than ever, and it's flying great. So, you know, check out an Electron Soft Envy if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And if these guys want to follow along with you on your social media journey, where can they do that?
Instagram, it's at $26045. That's my PDGA number. So check me out there, or on Facebook at Matt Dollar Disc Golf. So
awesome. Well, there you go. As always, thank you, Smashbox, for airing these segments and continue to support Ace Run Productions. Thank you again to Matt Dollar for taking the time out to do this segment with us. And as always, from us here at Ace Run Productions, let's run it.
And the one disc, one tip with a hatless Matt Dollar.
That's quite some hair.
I love it. I just don't know that it's been a while since I've seen Matt Dollar without a hat on. And he's growing it out. I like it. Good stuff. Of course, MVP as well, making some change up, making some moves. We'll borrow Paul's line over there. I don't think that's trademarked, but yeah, making some moves and doing some good stuff. Of course, we've talked about James Conrad moving over there this year as well to join the team, and we're going to see likes of Hokum and Lane King on the team, and again, and yeah, just looking forward to another big year.
MVP Steve reached out to me, and we were chatting back and forth, and he said, you know, whenever you want me on, guys, I'm free that night, so maybe we'll get MVP Steve on at some point in the next couple weeks or a couple months and find out what's going on with MVP. They seem to be making a lot of splashes right now in disc golf.
That's not even a name of their new disc.
The Splash?
Yeah.
No, it's not nearly
scientific.
Scientific enough. I was going to say physics related, but scientific enough.
Yeah, I nailed it.
You did. You really did, Terry.
Of course, yeah. Thank you, Felix, and the crew over there at Ace Run Productions. We appreciate all of it. The only thing that Johnny and I said we were absolutely disappointed in with that segment is not seeing Conrad slide into
awkwardly slide into the frame.
Certainly a highlight here. All right, PDGA news, updates, information. They do not pay us to say any of this. In fact, we pay them. Why do we? Every year we pay them.
I keep paying them. It's been a pretty slow week, but a couple days ago, the PDGA launched their diversity and outreach grant program. The PDGA announces a new diversity and outreach grant program, the first major initiative by the recently formed Diversity and Outreach Task Force. So if you're interested or think that maybe you would qualify for this grant, there's an application you can fill out. You can go to the PDGA website, and it's under, I think it's under the announcements is where I found it, or maybe under the announcements. So you can go there under PDGA announcements and fill all that information out. You can probably also just do a search for Diversity and Outreach Grant. PDGA, if you're got some Google foo, you can do that.
Okay, I'm gonna actually, if you're even crazy enough to go back, I have just put it in the chat as well, so you can find it right there. All right, very cool. I think we talked about it last week about one of the other things we saw with when people are pre-registering for events. We see the menu of that's happened clearly. And I know we referenced him early. Pete Chris is doing some amazing things over at the PDGA, and I think he's got an entire list. And I just think about, and from a technology standpoint as well, how these lists can grow when someone, whether it's you at work at your 9 to 5 or anyone in this position of this technology development and advancements of, it'd be really cool to have.
Yeah.
And it's like blank, blank, blank. And it's like,
Skip Ace is going through that right now.
Yeah, that sounds cool. That's like thousands of dollars and programming and man hours and all this other stuff. You're right. It does sound cool. And then it gets added to the list. And at some point, the list gets prioritized and reprioritized. And then sometimes it gets checked off the list. But what's happening at Skip Ace? Are you guys accepting Bitcoin yet?
I'm accepting Bitcoin. Please send me whatever Bitcoin you have.
Even if it's just a little. I mean, you're not even
greedy. A couple
greedy.
Satoshis will be fine.
Yeah,
too.
you're not even greedy. You'll take like fractions. I mean, somebody's like, "Oh, I don't even want my pennies." Oh, here, just take them. I mean, it's the same thing with Bitcoin. Like, if you don't have a whole Bitcoin to share with Johnny or me, just send whatever you got. It's just probably laying around. It's extra anyway.
Very true. Skip Ace is going through some minor updates. For the most part, the season is set up. I don't know if this is an entire after show subject, but I am trying. So one of the things I would like to do is set up Skip Ace points that you can then redeem for gift certificates. Great in concept, very difficult to take care of in reality because a lot of payment providers won't let you do that. It falls under fantasy sports / gambling, even though it's kind of the Chuck E. Cheese model. So right now I'm working with that, trying to get that figured out. And then there's all sorts of different tax laws depending on where the people are and what your points, if they have value, if they have intrinsic value. There's all sorts of crazy stuff that I'm working through right now that I'm hoping to get solved in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But other than that, we've got our normal weekly pick'em, which isn't league related, and we are going to be giving away this week, or not this week, for the LVC, a $20 Infinite Discs gift certificate. And then thanks to Dynamic Discs for stepping up to sponsor our primary league, the Skip Ace League. If you're not part of that league, you can just put a join code in of SKIP, and they're giving away a weekly $30 gift certificate for the winner every week. And I just got those gift certificate codes in the mail from DD just a couple hours ago. So I'm excited to be able to give those away thanks to DD. And again, that's all free. It doesn't cost you anything to play for those things. So please just go sign up, check it out. If you enjoy fantasy sports, you enjoy just kind of doing kind of what Dana did tonight, and just taking a wild guess at where these players are going to finish. Go ahead and check it out. skipace.com.
I always was under the impression that for any sort of contest or website, if you just said no purchase necessary and void where prohibited, like that
covers it.
That covers everything. That's not the ultimate disclaimer.
It doesn't appear to be. No.
Wow.
Yeah, I have to sign up.
I got to rewrite some documents.
Apparently, I need to sign up for some website which does taxes for every state based on where people are buying them from, and it is quite a hassle now that I'm actually starting to dig into possibly doing some monetization of the site. And it was all fun and games when it was just fun and games. And now it's
it does not sound.
It's slowly becoming more and more and more.
Sounds far from fun. Other fun that was had out there. Did I send you the link?
Probably.
We saw a rap battle take place. I don't know that. When I think of a rap battle, I think of the classic
Eminem
8 Mile scenes where someone says something and then they go back and forth. This in a generic sense was a rap battle in that 3 individuals impersonated, portrayed themselves as Ricky Wysocki, Paige Pierce, Paul Macbeth, and in a sense it was them coming at the other to some degree. But anyway, that hit the internets yesterday.
Didn't see it.
Okay, well, it's out there if you do want to see it. Another healthy discussion that took place, which kind of stems off of what we talked about briefly last week. Dixon Jowers had really brought it to the forefront of his discussion group, talking a little bit more about people's feelings on the compilation videos, the highlight videos, the fail videos, all those types of things that we're seeing pop up on the internet and specifically on the YouTubes. And then
the actual legalities of it.
Yeah, and the legalities that go along with it.
Not legal. Let me just say
as
right
always,
now,
I did not do any real research. I trust you Googled more than I did. And what did you find?
The compilation videos do not fall under fair use. Regardless of what they put in their description or whoever's doing it, taking other people's content and creating a new piece of work is not fair use. Fair use is restricted to things like news gathering, informational, educational, things like that. Not just taking somebody else's video and combining it with other videos. Now, if they have we're going down a slight rabbit hole here. If they have the original copyright holder's permission and create something like that, that is then their own artwork that is copyrightable. So nobody could take their compilation then and reuse it.
I couldn't take it and then
No, you couldn't. Even if you were one of the original
Even if I did
owners.
it under parody or satire or
correct.
humor?
Correct. So all the compilation videos you're seeing that aren't originating from the original owners, as fun as they are,
sure,
technically not legal. And as I said last week, if I were a copyright, if I were being copyright infringed, I would report them, regardless of how you feel. I think especially if you feel like they're monetizing against your particular product and you don't agree with it. Now, I've seen all sorts of things, people saying, well, how come I can see this stuff in the NFL and stuff like that? And the NFL is a billion-dollar industry that doesn't have time to go through probably every little YouTube clip. Or some of these people maybe actually have the right to some of these videos that they're posting. Or they just, again, the YouTube or the NFL and the NBA and MLB just don't care enough, that they're not a big enough fish in the pond. So when you're the size of Jupiter and you put out a very, very small video the size of a pinhead, they don't care. When you're, I don't know, the size of disc golf, and there's only about, I'm going to throw a generic number, 10 major creators out there right now, and you're taking 8 of their videos and clipping them, that creates a much bigger splash.
Yeah, and
so take that for what you will. From everything I've done research on and looked up over the last week or two, it doesn't matter if you put the fact that if you give credit on the video and this and that, if you didn't actually get permission, it doesn't matter if you give credit. So just let it be known.
Well, I'm gonna release a new movie called Good or Will Hunting, and I mean it's the same thing, but I'm gonna credit the original producer of it. Yeah, I guess I can see. The one of the arguments that I did not care for, whether it was serious or not, is I don't understand or necessarily agree with the defeatist or the give up mentality of, well, it happens everywhere and it's happening in disc golf now. You can't stop it, or who cares? It happens everywhere. I don't think that means we should just all give up either.
No.
Now, am I losing sleep over this? No, I'm not. I'm guessing our content creators are not losing sleep over this, and nobody's filing, trying to track down every single anonymous YouTube user and, trying to file lawsuits or something like that. However, just because it's happening, I guess I liken that to, well, there's litter on the side of the road. Who cares if I just, if I throw out mine too? It's like, well, no, that doesn't mean you're just going to give up and everyone should just start littering because it's inevitable and there's already litter out there. And again, I think you kind of touched on it. We're a pretty small, tight-knit community right now. No, not everybody doesn't know everybody, but we're still a relatively small, tight-knit community. So if maybe this culture is built among us right now, maybe that carries a little bit more weight moving forward. And that's kind of my angle on it, instead of just throwing my hands up and saying, well, I really don't care about it. So
Jason Jarvis on the board says it's still growing the viewership of the sport. It might be.
Sure.
It very well could be.
There's I could do a lot of illegal things that benefit somebody. That doesn't mean
at what
they're
expense
okay.
to some people. Exactly. And that's
okay. Anyway, yeah, I understand. I don't have I'm not about to sit and break down a ton of analogies or whatever, but I will always revert back to one, and I said it in that very post. Once you've become a content creator, in the sense that the energy and the time and probably the love and the passion and the effort to create even a half-polished video to post it to YouTube, to then have someone take it from you and help themselves to it, it makes you feel very different. I promise you it does. And I even had said, if someone like myself were making $1 million a year, would it sting less? Yeah, maybe a little less. It's still the principle. The principle is still the fact that it's happening. Yeah. Now, one of our top-rated, no longer the top-rated, one of our top-rated players in the sport also chimed in on that same thread and was kind of coming at it from a different angle, suggesting that some of the people being featured in these videos, in various YouTube videos, are not gaining maybe enough or getting their share, what he may or may not feel like is his share. Paul Macbeth made a comment about being featured in videos and how media companies are growing exposure and gaining exposure from all sorts of things in essence, on the backs of our players.
I mean, yes, there is some truth to that. Players, as we know, do benefit from a lot of times from being on the media coverage, whether it's through disc sales or just media exposure or hype of things like that. And I'm not saying that makes it fair. Other leagues, what they tend to do is the media companies like a Smashbox, like a Jomez, Gatekeeper, GK, CCDG,
Ace Run Productions,
they pay for rights to film them. That money then goes back into the league, so it would be like into the DGPT. The DGPT then puts that money into purses. That's the way it works with the PGA. That's the way it works with the NFL. That goes back into salary caps. I believe maybe with the I don't know about the MLB for sure, but I think NBA does that as well. I'm not exactly sure how that works out. But so that money then with the bigger leagues that aren't individual like golf, there's actually stipulations in the players union that say X amount has to go into the salary cap. With golf, it's a little different in that obviously they have a players union, but I don't believe there's a set amount that has to go back from the TV rights into the purse. I think that fluctuates. There might be an amount and not a percentage. I don't exactly know how the PGA works for that, but which is more analogous to what we're doing right now.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not in a lot of ways, and I interrupt you and say this aggressively because everybody that's working on the PGA Tour right now makes a living wage. Everyone that
and they do that.
The video production companies,
Because
like they get paid. They make money. Like they punch a clock or they sign up for a shift or a weekend or a month or a year of work, and they all are guaranteed money. Right now, that's not true in disc golf. That's not true that if you go out and you cover a weekend of work,
it's because
or
NBC pays these production companies because they've bought the rights. I mean, it's a big
my again
building.
My main point to all of this is I don't know that we can compare us to a lot of the other organizations or sporting
in concept,
or broadcasting at all just yet. I'm just we're a long way off of it, and I kind of made a snarky comment within that thread. I know some of you are shocked by that, but there's a lot of people that have worked countless hours, hundreds or thousands of hours, and have sacrificed a lot of things with little pay or have truly suffered losses to go out and produce content for the sport of disc golf. And I'm not just trying to pat myself on the back. There's clearly others like Ace Run and everyone that let's put it this way. Everyone that has ever covered disc golf has taken a loss when they've gotten started and still may not be profitable.
That happens in virtually every sport, though. NFL Films started out, as
sure, but I'm saying if I went and signed up, went and signed up tomorrow to work for the PGA Tour, I'm getting a salary.
Cool. Drop that back 50 years ago.
I understand that. Well, who knows? I don't know how they did it 50 years ago.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Like we're on the right path, I think, and we'll get there when the DGPT can demand we'll say a reasonable charge to the production companies when the sport is quote unquote big enough as we continue to grow. When the DGPT says to whoever's covering MPO 1, you'd like to cover that this year, that's going to be $200,000. Or FPO, that's going to be $180,000 or whatever those numbers turn out to be. Right now, we can't justify that because going back almost a year now, where Ian Anderson on another podcast had said, like, yeah, we covered MPO2 and we can't even make ends meet hardly because it's just now. I think that would be different. That was pre-COVID.
Sure.
We've grown exponentially now, and I think we're seeing multiple cards get enough views to be able to support. So, at what point does the DGPT look and say, all right, cool, whoever's covering MPO3, your views are now enough where we can begin to charge you. We feel that look at your view count, you're getting 50, 70, 80,000 views per round. We know that you're making at least X amount. We now need to charge you, $25,000 a year to cover MPO 3, the third card. And again, this also comes back to, I think there needs to be at some point an understanding with the DGPT and the players that says, okay, when we get to this point, a certain amount has to go into the purse. It has to come back to the players somehow. And right now,
if that's how it gets designed,
I'm saying that's probably how it should be. And who
says who?
That seems to be. It seems to work in every other sport.
I agree that there are certainly paths, and there are certainly there's framework, and there's ideas, and there's concepts that have been applied. Some have been probably very successful, some of which maybe haven't been. I'm not suggesting that can't happen or won't happen. I'm just saying we do liken ourselves to golf. We follow obviously a lot of the same concepts and everything else. To some degree, though, we're also very much our own monster in what we've done, and I think that I think we have to remain open-minded to what we have. We also know that right now our pros are far more accessible than any other major sport. I mean, there's so many differences that, although I agree we're growing and things are going what feel like in a good, more professional, more consistent direction, I'm not married to just following the path that any other either broadcast company or sporting agreement has followed either.
If there are other ways, maybe we'll find them.
Do you think we have a lot of our other sports where on the weekends a lot of those players are sitting outside their RVs hawking their wares?
No, but if we move in 10 years, that might not be the case.
No, I know. I'm just saying, we're different right now, and some of those things we may embrace and hold on to forever, and
maybe,
we may or may not need to graduate or grow up from those things. Some of those things are what do make us really cool and unique at the same time.
It might be, but I'll say this: I bet you ask almost any pro that says, "How about this? We give you a professional salary, a professional sport salary. We'll just say $100,000 a year. You're guaranteed $100,000 a year for your average player, not necessarily your top end players or $200,000. But you can't sell anything outside. Most of them are probably going to take you up on that because they don't want to take that extra effort to probably have to sell that stuff. And some of them will still do it because they want to be in touch with their fans. And you just like you have probably certain professional athletes that will go hang out afterwards and sign baseballs, and they go to signing shows because they want that extra little bit of cash, but they don't have to. And if we don't go that way, that's fine. But I think that there is, again, you look at virtually every other sport that has some sort of media contract, the players get a portion of that, of somehow, and that's just
sure.
And whether we move down that path or not, and again, it's going to come down to a lot of things. Like right now, if the Pro Tour right now suddenly got an influx of $200,000 a year, that doesn't necessarily right now that shouldn't necessarily go to the players. There are positions in the Pro Tour that need to be filled that could use, you don't think a cameraman could probably use an extra $5,000, $10,000 a year? You don't think that they could hire an additional marketer, someone specific for social media? There are positions that still need to be filled.
Tournament directors, course designers. There's a lot of people.
Course designers have nothing to do with this.
Okay. There's a lot
tournament
of
directors,
people that also are in a grassroots, underappreciated, undervalued position within our sport right now.
Yeah, but
I am not concerned about my YouTube revenues, as unamazing as they may be, to go to the person I'm filming.
Yeah.
Just
sure.
And I can't wait for that first person that really wants to challenge it. And I think about I'll just throw out a Kyle Klein, who largely is received so much of the of probably the contracts and negotiations because he was covered. He played well, period. He played well. I'm not suggesting otherwise. He played well, but then he became a name. He became someone that people talk about and more recognized and then more marketable. Because it's a little chicken and the egg. There's no doubt about this. I let's be very clear about that. We need good players to play well on camera to make the sport fun and exciting, and we grow. And we also need camera crews and camera people doing the work that they can do to help then promote the good players. This is very symbiotic in a lot of ways, and I'm not trying to drive a wedge or create anything of the sort, but we're unique in that way right now because the person that's filming the NFL game on Sunday or filming the Super Bowl, they're not just a super diehard football fan that only got into it and they worked their ass off for 6 straight years making zero money so that they could someday go film Tom Brady.
We're talking about two separate things, though. You're talking about your B tiers, your C tiers, maybe your A tiers. I'm talking about the Pro Tour. The Pro Tour is different than those. If an event brings you in for a C tier, a B tier, or even like a big A tier, that's not the Pro Tour. The Pro Tour is different.
I get that.
And you can if someone's demanding money, or a cut or a portion of something, and you're filming them and they're in a AM Worlds or something, that's too bad. We're talking about the major leagues in our in our industry right now, like, which is basically the DGPT. It's the only real league. I mean, there's the NT, but it's kind of right now being all bunched together, you know. So there is a difference between what you're talking about and what this is talking about. Just like, you know, the whole TD argument, like, great. Most people think TDs should make a living wage or something. That's great if they're allowed to make money. Should a C-tier tournament make as much as the Disc Golf Pro Tour tournament director? I don't know. Maybe. But ultimately, that's a different subject. So,
Okay.
Well, there are a lot of places where people could be making more money right now, and
is it gonna be funny when?
And it's not the Pro Tour's job to make that happen. You know, the Pro Tour's job right now is to make sure the Pro Tour is sustainable and help out whoever's working on the Pro Tour, and maybe that is a permanent tournament director or two that help run the Pro Tour in the future. I don't know, and maybe they do make a living wage just doing tournament directing.
I think of the ultimate standoff when somebody hits an ace and they turn back to the cameraman and say, "Did you get that?" Or they say, "Oh, I want that clip." And then it's just this standoff of, "Well, what's it worth to you?" "Well, what's it worth to you?" Like, what's more valuable? But anyway, we can move on. Again, I will end it by saying disc golf continues to grow. That's not a secret. We've been on a unique path, for better or worse.
Yeah.
We've been on a very unique path, and I am not necessarily tied or married to a specific outcome or path that we must follow moving forward. I think it is very fluid, and there's going to be pros and cons, obviously, to every way we go.
Mm-hmm.
But we are not like a lot of other filming industries right now with where we're at. And disc golf as a sport doesn't have the money that a lot of other industries do. And so I'm open to ideas as we move forward. And let's be fair. Yeah, you're right. 50 years ago, there wasn't this argument with such and such or some organization. There also wasn't YouTube. There also
Correct.
wasn't Patreon. There also wasn't, all these other ways that things happen right now.
And that's where my big, again, where one of the things that I step back when someone like Paul says, "Oh, you guys are filming and we're not seeing a cut of that." Well, the media companies, what would a pro want? Would they want a cut of the ads, of the YouTube revenue, of the Patreon support? If Terry, if you're making $100,000 on Patreon every year, yeah, right. If you're doing something like that, does the player get a cut of that when you film them at a A tier? When you show up to Tennessee States one year and just, and they're there and there's.
Do I get a rebate when they play terrible?
You should.
No, we've got it there. You took 4 bogeys here. You shot 10-20.
It's going to cost you.
You're not getting anything.
Cost you.
You're not getting anything for that round. That's how much more work I had to edit? You couldn't even win in regulation. I had to fill more damn holes because it took you 6 extra holes to win. Or Lisa Fakis, it took you 4 extra holes to win. That's more work.
That's right.
I've got time for that. So it's a wild, wild world, folks. And, we'll be here for all of it one way or another. And really, I think Sam, as a generic statement, Sam out on the board said there's a lot of our economics in disc golf are fundamentally broken. Broken, I would use interchangeable with the idea that they're unique, they're different, and I have absolutely benefited from some of our economics, and I have absolutely not benefited from them in a lot of different capacities. So that's why maybe I get a little more passionate about it, because I have worked a lot of different sectors within the disc golf community, and we'll keep pushing forward one way or another. Yeah, Tim says that Yuli owes me money for his Angry Beaver performance. Yeesh. Okay. We ready to close things out here? You got anything else in the regular show?
No, I think we're doing pretty well.
I wouldn't go that far, but we will close it out. We got to thank Dana Vicich. He said he'd come on for a quick 20 90 minutes later, we let him go. So thank you, Dana. We love and appreciate you, buddy. Keep taking care of that family and that beard of yours. And we're looking forward to your insights and more in 2021. For Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, this has been podcast number 337. We've got free stuff to give away because we're a rich media company. So we got free stuff to give away in the after show. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's 337th After Show. All right, here for the after show. Thank you guys for joining us. If you stick around long enough, you may hear your name called off as our special Patreon winner of the night. Shipped out a few more Patreon items today. Somebody might have received an extra item or two simply because at one point tonight, I full-blown did something with a label. I don't know. So somebody's either going to get something they didn't order or somebody's going to get something they did order plus an additional item.
Wow.
I don't know how that's going to shake out. Hopefully, if you want to let me know. But I had printed out a few labels over the weekend, and then I had a few more items to print out and get shipped out. And in doing so, all of a sudden, I'm sitting there with a package with one less label than I needed. And it's like, this isn't good. So we'll see how that all shakes out in the next few days. But some stuff got sent out. We appreciate you guys for joining us. And also, it's worth me sharing here because I know some of you are crossovers. So I appreciate anyone that jumped on the Disc Golf Guy Patreon here in the last few days as well. I threaten to give away free stuff over there, and that gets everyone excited as well. So in all seriousness, just thank you guys so much. Really, the only way some of the coverage that I am getting out these days is 100% Patreon supported. And if you guys don't do that, then the cameramen don't get food. It sucks for them. I'm like, sorry guys.
Terry's got enough, but sorry, cameraman.
Like, sorry. I'm eating like my 6th slice of pizza, and I'm like, sorry, there wasn't enough Patreon for you guys to get pizza tonight. So no, but all seriousness, thank you guys so much.
And for those of you who are Patreon supporters of Smashbox TV, did I hear correctly that the Patreon discs will be shipping to us?
Yes.
Very shortly.
Yes.
Where then we will sign them and turn around and put them in a disc in a box and ship them out to our Patreon supporters.
Oh, yeah. They have
Awesome.
officially been stamped. I saw them. They look great. They are getting shipped to us.
Very swirly.
You may have seen a different picture than I saw, but
I saw a picture that looked
you
swirly.
took that? Okay, maybe.
I'm going to look now.
They are going to get shipped to us, and they're going to probably arrive about a day or two after I have left. I'm going to Bend, Oregon this weekend, and so they're going to actually ship right to Johnny V. He'll get first crack at signing them all, and then 18 days or so later, when I return home, I will then sign them, and then we'll get them all packaged up and shipped out. So, yes, it's really cool that they're arriving pretty quickly and that we're going to be able to get them out, but there is going to be a couple-week lag time in there where they're going to be sitting here in Milwaukee without me or my signature. So, super excited to get them out. Ray wants to know, will I sign his box as well? Yeah, I could probably do that.
That looks kind of swirly, doesn't it? Is that not?
I guess I didn't look at it in that close-up of a... Yeah, I don't know if swirly is the word I would use, but...
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not a disc collector,
definitely...
so I don't know if there's like specific...
No,
like,
there are.
Like, this is swirly versus this
No,
is...
there definitely are.
Is there? Okay.
But there's a little bit of a secondary color there, and... Yeah, that's not hardcore swirly, so to speak, but... Yeah, I think they look really sharp, and we're going to keep it a surprise.
I think they do too.
So thank you guys so much. Ace Run is also talking about they got some next gen
coverage
that's out there and available. I think there's a link even right on the front page of the PDGA.
It's not next gen anymore. It's NADGT.
Yeah, sorry. But it is out there and available as well. So certainly make sure you guys go out and check it out.
I'm going to have to go check it out. They said they got some new and improved graphics.
Oh, sweet.
Which excites me because,
of course,
the last 2 days I've just been putting in the new graphics for the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the DGN. So you're going to be seeing some of that. As I said, Dustin Giuliano has been just knocking it out of the park, as well as UDisc, just killing it. Putting all these together for us at
we're gonna have a fresh look and face
it's
on top of the screen there for the
all the graphics, the player cards, the player bars, whatever you want to call them, the
hole bugs and hole information. Whenever we see any of that, all that stuff is gonna look new and fresh on top of the live broadcast. It's gonna be again have a little more of that tie, that synonymous tie with the Disc Golf Pro Tour branding, and it's going to look really sharp.
It is. So, it already looks really sharp.
Yeah, huge shout out, like you said, to Dustin and then all of the guys at UDisc for making all that happen. Ace Run Productions says that he is shipping out discs and that my disc in a box is awesome. Well, good. He's picked up some of those shipping supplies. Good to hear that they're working out well for you. Yes, and Kyle Klein is, in fact, a former Next Gen winner. I think about him. I think about Schultz, and the performances that we've seen from some of the multiple members of the Schultz family. Chris, I'm drawing a blank. Gentleman that showed up 3 holes late.
Yeah.
I don't believe I can't think of his last name. Sorry, from California. We haven't seen too much of him, and maybe that's why I'm drawing a blank right now. That's too bad. I'd like to see him out there playing. I don't know where life and what. I mean, we see him playing, but he's certainly not. He didn't get in a car and start traveling around the country right away or anything like that. But hopefully, we'll see him out there more in the future. All right. What else has been going on, Johnny?
Not a heck of a lot, Terry. It's been a pretty quiet week. It was up, like I said, I was up at the in-laws this past weekend and just hung out and played some pinball because they've got a little pinball machine in their sunroom, and that's it. Watched, sat down on the couch, it was, I don't know, early afternoon, turned on the TV, and Daytona 500 was on. And I'm not kidding you, it was like lap 10, within 30 seconds, there was, as they call it, the big one, a crash that took out 15 cars, including, the one Wisconsin car, I think, the one guy from Wisconsin, Menard's car. And then it rained, like, immediately after, and they shut it down, and I was like, awesome. It's as much NASCAR as I'm going to need to watch now for the entire year. Go about my day, drive 3 hours home, watch 2 episodes, finished up season 4 of Fargo. 11 o'clock, I'm like, maybe I'll catch the end of the news. Turn on Fox 6. last 10 laps of Daytona. And I was like, what? And sure enough, like it had been rain delayed the entire day. So I watched the 10th lap and then the last 10 laps of Daytona.
Wow.
And with 1 lap to go, they had the big one, Terry. It was the crash. And they went into caution and they just called the race. Like with
is that a white flag, yellow flag?
I don't know. I don't know anything about auto racing, Terry. All I know is
Nor do I.
There was
that's not obvious.
There was crashing and flames, and before anyone could cross the finish line, they called it, and whoever was in the lead at the last lap, that was the winner. And I was like, that's more NASCAR than I've watched in many years. Not since I was roommates with Pat Sadler.
Well, Keith says my guy got screwed in the big one. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
Sorry to hear that.
Keith Vance says, are those Smashbox jackets you guys have on? No, we actually have done different sweatshirts, although they look very similar. They're both like a gray hoodie. Mine is a Smashbox one. This was a Patreon supporter sweatshirt for those of you at the clothing level. And Terry's is just a gray sweatshirt.
Mm-hmm. However, mine has traveled as far as Australia.
Nobody cares.
Luke's on the board. I was
Luke's
looking at pictures with Luke.
Much appreciated.
And realizing that I had worn this there. Johnny, did you enjoy the Expanse finale?
Yeah, enjoying the entire season. I'm excited for, I think they've got supposedly one more season left. And then they don't know for sure that if they're going to do maybe some movies or this or that. But yeah, the whole freaking great. It's freaking great.
Okay. Good to hear. Foul play. Same way Big Germ won in the USDGC. Yeah, with the
crash,
the slightly abridged.
When the second car just crashed and they called Jerem the winner.
Thomas says, good morning from Norway. Thomas, I hope you're doing well. Glad you could join us. And then also we see Cody and Sam and some of our regulars, of course, out on the board as usual. I guess this doesn't really pertain to you, so I'll keep it pretty short in the sense that with the freeze that has come mainly across the country, did get a quick sneak peek, and I think anyone that's been doing some complaining, like myself, I think we're going to see some really good weather coming up here for at least for the Gulf in the next few weeks. When I was looking at Las Vegas, I think in the 70s or 80s is predicted for next week, and the only reason why that's even remotely newsworthy or mentionable is because we've had snow. Albeit not often, the once in a lifetime. There was snow there a few years ago. And Vegas at this time of year has been very, very well known for 40 and 50 degree weather along with 20 to 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. So it can be genuinely unpleasant while we're out there. We all know it's, that's a dry cold that takes place out there, right? Is that what they call it?
I'm sure they do.
It's a dry cold. But looking ahead, I think we're going to see some really nice weather out there in Vegas. So,
and
might not excite you the way it excites me.
You are making your way out to Bend,
yes,
in the next day or so.
A couple days from now,
Thursday or Friday or something like that. Because you are going to be the in booth commentator with the Jenkins crew.
Yep.
Jenkins and Doss.
Jenkins and Doss. Yep. Got to give Nate his props.
What does Nate do? He's never going to hear this. So
yeah.
He doesn't. We can talk all the smack we want about him. And so you're going to be the in-house commentator for the All-Star game.
Yes.
But then you make your way over
down
to Vegas to do something, and then I believe they're going to have. I don't even know if it's been announced yet, and I don't know if I should.
Yeah, I don't think you should because I think it's changed since you mentioned it.
Yeah,
to me
for
Vegas.
For Vegas, so
we'll see what the commentary team looks like for Vegas. Is what Johnny's getting at because we're not sure.
Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
Good call.
I think that's what I heard.
Speaking of football news, great segue. Aaron Rodgers not only has a new lady friend, but are there other rumors?
He's engaged,
and she's
an actress,
an activist. I think I read up of some sort. And
probably aren't they all?
I am. Is that where the rumors end? There wasn't a rumor about a pregnancy too?
I haven't heard that particularly, but
well, we can start it here.
Sure. I'm excited. I'm hoping the Packers can pick up J.J. Watt.
Exactly. What is the real possibility of that?
I give it about a 15% chance. He's going to probably demand a pretty decent paycheck. Packers don't have a lot of cap room. I think he's more likely to go to the Steelers to go play with his brother. So there's that. I would love to see him home. He's a homeboy from Pewaukee, just up the road here. Yep. So playing as a Packer fan, that would be pretty cool for us. But other than that, and he's phenomenal on defense, so we can always use that.
Why did they let him go, or why was it mutual?
I think he was unhappy with the organization.
Oh.
They've made a lot of weird decisions over the past year or two, and I think he just kind of had it. And rather than get into a big public spat, it was just agreed upon. Hey, it was like, cool, let's just go our separate ways.
Let's just break up.
Let's just break up.
We both agreed to break up.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah. And yes, like you said, J.J. Watt, his home is not is I think a mere few blocks from where I live out in Pewaukee. So definitely local in that sense. So it'd be kind of cool to see him play for the Packers, of course, but who knows? All right, reading up. I have to return my rental at the Blockbuster in Bend. Yes, Bend is home of the last remaining Blockbuster. When I was there back in September, I did pull into the parking lot, and I think I took a picture or two. But yes, the last remaining Blockbuster in the country is located in Bend, Oregon. Excited to get back out to Bend, and I think I'm going to have... I don't think our schedule is quite as intense, maybe, with the All-Star Weekend as for a regular broadcast, so that might mean more time in Bevel, and that might mean Nate says I'm going to have to try the Scottish ale that he's now brewed.
And I don't know for sure, is the booth at Bevel now? I haven't seen...
Rumor had it.
That
could be fun.
That could be good and bad. I don't know for sure exactly the setup. I did see that Val had posted a picture of the booth, that it is all set up. I don't know if it's actually at Bevel. There was rumors that it was going to be. It's been a little hazy. All I care is that there's a booth set up. From my perspective, I don't care where it is, and that it's it's ready to go.
Yeah, that's a good question. I will report from the brewery either way and let you guys know what's happening out there in Bend.
Ray says, I thought you all were boothing in Milwaukee. We're getting there. The studio, there's been some pushback as far as timetable. The guy who's doing the construction, who owns the building, or building manager, maintenance, or whatever, has having some issues with his construction company. So a lot of this has been pushed back about a month or two. So we were hoping to get in there, mid-December. We were hoping to get in there in very, very early March, but unfortunately that's probably going to get pushed back to early April. So we're still going to, it's going to continue with the way things were for a while. The equipment has all been ordered. It's starting to ship and everything. So I should see all that equipment in the next few weeks, and we will go from there. But yes, the booth will at some point be in Milwaukee, and then at that point it's going to be split a little bit. Not every booth will come out of Milwaukee. We heard Dana talk about Silver Series. I think we're going to see some of them come out of Milwaukee. But some of our West Coast commentators, they will make the trip once in a while, but there will also be times that they will booth out of Bend.
Yeah, out of Bevel, and we'll keep you guys posted. Porch Mike says, I'm going to be in Bend on Thursday. Can I witness the commentary over at Bevel? That'd probably not be in our best interest. You could maybe get a sneak peek of the studio, possibly, sure, depending how golfer related you are. I can't speak for them right now what the plan is. Should I just offer to do tours over there at Bevel? So I can't speak to that. Now, having live commentary, believe it or not, would not be a bright move, just because I need no more distractions than my own brain, as it already is. But again, Johnny and I genuinely don't know what it looks like as of right now, if it's going to be at Bevel or if it's still over at Nate and Val's house. My impression is that it's over at it is at Bevel, though, so that will be kind of cool to be able to check out what's going on over there. Looking forward to it. Thomas says, Scottish ale, that's more my taste. Wonder if he has hopped it a lot or not. I'm hoping not. And I only say that very selfishly because when we had some very lengthy talks when I was there, we realized just how much I really like that sweet malty flavor. And not that he made the beer for me, but
clearly he did.
I think he was going after a traditional malty sweet Scottish ale kind of flavoring. And if that really does exist, you might have a different Terry Disc Golf Guy experience in Bend for the weekend. I'm just gonna put it out there. I mean,
it's the All-Star game.
Yeah,
it's
the
a little bit
All-Star
looser.
weekend. Yeah,
everybody loves it when Terry is having fun. And for those of you that don't know, this All-Star Weekend Friday, we're going to be doing live pressers, I believe, where the players are going to come and answer some questions, do what they do. Saturday, I believe we start at 1 p.m. I think that's local time. There was a post on
beer 30, bro.
There's a post on the DGPT network. Shows you how much I know. I don't know when we start.
I think 10 o'clock Pacific is what I saw because I was trying to put myself in some random time zone.
So
that
maybe
I'm not
maybe
used
I
to.
saw 1 p.m. Eastern.
Eastern.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I'll be here, so Mo will show up and tell me when to push buttons. So that's all I kind of care about. But yeah, so that's going to be going on Saturday, and I assume probably very similar time we will start on Sunday.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Maybe 2 cams in the booth. I'm not sure if it'll get that fancy in Bend, but anything's possible. I think we're going to see some developments as the year rolls on. Thomas says he likes the idea of something sweet and malty, hopefully. Sam asks a valid question. Will Hannah Macbeth be doing sideline reporting this weekend? I had a brief conversation with Hannah, but I don't know that we're going to see her necessarily in that role this weekend. I do think we're going to see and hear from Hannah throughout the year. I don't know the exact dates and individual events and what the role will be, but I do think we're going to see and hear from Hannah
July
more,
43rd. That's when we're seeing
more in 2021 than we did in 2020, which it definitely excites me. It's always great to work with her.
Ryan Pilcher asks, will we get 3-hour-long recaps every night of the All-Star Weekend with Terry all hopped up on Scotch Ale?
I wouldn't rule anything out at this point. Again, we'll see where the studio is in relation to the beverages. And then, yeah, I won't be too far when Nate needs to drive me then back to the hotel. So anything is possible. That's all I'm going to say on that one. I request more Terry check-ins with distance is for drives. Length to the hole. Do it every hole if you can. Yeah, I won't be doing it every single hole when I'm out there.
There are plans in production, and mark my words, you probably will not see it this year. Obviously, you all know about the UDisc mapping feature, which kind of will give you general idea of driving distance. That is the way UDisc is built, apparently. My understanding is they have kind of 2 separate systems. They've got their consumer side, and then they've got the Pro Tour side, the scoring side. So those are not one and the same. So what's over on the consumer side will eventually make its way over to the Pro Tour. At some point, we might see something like that way later in the year, but even that I wouldn't hold my breath for. I would probably think that maybe next year we'll start seeing a lot more drives and distances coming right from the UDisc stats. Way more official than just Terry eyeballing it. You've got your rangefinder.
Yeah. Bushnell 850, baby. Not a paid plug by Bushnell, but reach out to me. We can talk about it. Ray is suggesting just give you a mic, meaning me, and you can unmute yourself frequently on the course to add color. You're kind of on to a conversation that has been happening, and it's, of course, not just specific to me, but the idea of finding a way to have a little bit more precise and regular communication between both the booth and a sideline reporter. And as we grow and develop, I think you're going to see that integration become more of a reality as we move forward.
Event 3 or 4 is the plan. Hopefully, get us set up with a better comm system. Something called Unity Communication, which we can then cross our fingers, have Terry plugged into so he can directly talk to and talk back from the booth. because the way we've always worked in the past is the booth throws it to Terry.
Blindly.
Yeah, Terry gets a countdown in his ear to know when he should talk. And then when he's done, the booth knows that Terry's done because they can hear him, and then they go ahead and talk. There's no interaction. So anything, when Terry says, "Thanks, Nate, I appreciate that," he didn't hear a damn thing Nate Doss had just said.
And that's not just because of one bad ear.
That's not. So ultimately, we're hoping that with this new Unity comms system, we will be able to do better integration between the crew members, people on the course versus in the booth, find a good way to make that all happen. So
yeah,
it's not easy. So it's gonna take a little bit of messing around.
And I'm just gonna follow that up and lob this out there now. We've had this conversation about having that more seamless communication from the booth to who's ever doing the sideline reporting. And there's going to be one significant drawback to that, which is if I am, for instance, in the field, or Jamie Thomas is, or whatever, somebody's in the field doing sideline reporting, and if they are hearing and listening and paying attention to and being coherent with everything that's being said and done in the booth, and they're giving attention to that, they're going to be far less attentive of doing true sideline reporting and investigating. So if Nate and Val, for instance, are talking about something,
Sam Martin just nailed it on the board.
If they're talking about something on hole 7, and we really don't come to me until, we'll just say, the middle of hole 9, I may or may not have been in tune with what they were talking about back on 7. I may be up to speed and thinking, okay, from the start of hole 9, I'm part of their conversation and I'm listening in, and then I can hopefully add on that. But if they're talking about something that happened a little while ago, or something where I'm not necessarily planning on being up to speed with them, because again, the advantage of me being on the sideline, or anyone being on the sideline, is to be gaining information that isn't being talked about or discussed or understood in the booth. And so that's just one thing I personally want to throw out there, that I have a little reservation and hesitation to the idea of always hearing every word from the booth.
Yeah, I don't think that's
for that
a good
exact because that could be one of the drawbacks. I don't really want to be paying. I'd like to know generally what they're talking about, and if they certainly have something they want explored or expanded upon, but I don't want to hear every single word they said, because again, I'm trying to do my own reporting and investigating out there.
No, I think it would have to be something that somebody maybe at the booth, or maybe on my side, probably on the booth side, would have to specifically turn on when you are on camera. Like, hey, we're going to talk to Terry now, and they push a button, and it's like, oh, hey, Terry, how's it going? And then you'll be able to answer them. But I don't think you should be listening to the booth the entire time. That's my opinion. So,
yeah, I can only ignore so many people in a day.
I don't believe that's true. I think
I could find more.
There is not a capacity to the number of people you can ignore. Tim Courts asks, well, we still need the sky pans at the end of the Tear Bear segments. That's a classic throwback.
Yeah, those were fun.
Yep. Maybe we'll throw one in for fun. I doubt it. Our cameraman probably wouldn't do that.
It's a lot of fun, though.
It is.
So many little things throughout the years that have got us to where we all are now.
Little signature things from SmashBoxx.
All right. I don't know. Do we have other stuff to talk about, Johnny? I know we're going to have a giveaway here soon.
Yep, we've got a giveaway all set up. We have, if you want to be eligible for the giveaway for next week, you can go to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV, and for as little as $1 a month, you too can help support our independent media. And
is our... without harping on it too much, is our SmashBoxx Patreon support option still set up, we'll say, in the original way that SmashBoxx, or that Patreon was created, which is also the way that I do it? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so let me explain that real quick for everyone at home, just as a quick overview, because in all fairness, a lot of creators that are using Patreon are using it in different capacities, and they're all right. No one's wrong. They're just different. And for the longest time, Patreon was only set up to be used in one specific way that you could use it, and then they started adding more options to it. And so just for everyone at home, for whether it's SmashBoxx and or the Disc Golf Guy channel in particular, the way that both of us do it is that you can go out, as Johnny says, for as little as $1 a month. If you want to go out and support what we're doing, you can say, I would like to pledge per creation. And in our case, for the podcast. That's $1 for a podcast. And if you say, hey, I'd like to give $1 for a podcast, and if you guys put up 10 of them, sure, go ahead, charge me all 10 in the month, which would never happen because we only have one a week. But if you also wanted to cap it, you could do that as well. So if you could say, hey, I'd like to give you guys $7 for every single podcast, but $21 is my limit a month that I can spend on podcast. So any podcast after the third one that you post, you would no longer then get billed or charged for. So what it would do is it would charge for the first 3. It would cap at that 21, which is where you set it, and it would not charge you for that one as well. And in Disc Golf Guy, I do the exact same thing for my videos. I do it per creation, and you can set a cap. Some people say, hey, I want to give you $2, but if you get all crazy like you did in the month of January or February this year, you get all crazy and you put out 28 videos, I really just want to cap myself at giving you $14 a month or $12 a month. You can cap it at that, and that works perfectly fine as well. So just want to be very clear on that. A lot of other creators, understandably as well, will say, hey, you charge a monthly amount, and regardless of what they put out, whether they put out 1 video or 50 videos, you are just pledging a set amount, and you get charged that amount no matter what. That's a perfectly viable option as well. That's just not how we happen to do it. I feel good about knowing you're only paying for the times where I actually do the work and put out something fresh. That's what makes me feel good about the way that we have it set up. But everybody has them set up differently.
Correct. And which is funny because I think once in a while, and anything can change in the future, but we have no plans to right now. I'm like, Smashbox would work out perfect for a monthly option because we're here every Tuesday. We don't miss. We don't really put out too many extra things where you're ever going to hit like 20 creations. We're always pretty consistent, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
There's a rare occasion where during the off season we'll put out highlight videos, and I'll put them on Patreon first, and I never charge for them because those are just bonuses for our Patreon supporters. But I think for Smashbox, a monthly thing would work, but I do really like the per creation because I think it does drive you to continue to do creations so that you're not just sitting on your laurels for like 2 or 3 months not putting anything out, and then still taking in money. But
Thomas makes a good point. He says, if I up to $3 and then get a disc, it will be a loss for Smashbox just because of sending that disc to Norway. I better not win any of the giveaways. You're exactly right, Thomas. And honestly, that's just the dice that we roll, and we're totally fine with that. We love any and all of our international contributors, and yes, we do realize that you may sign up, and that when the math works out at the end of the year, by the time you've either won something and or you get a disc, that we've lost money because we've sent you an item or two on the year. We'll play that numbers game. We're okay with that.
Totally fine with that.
We're clearly not here to get rich. We're not scrupulous or good businessmen or smart.
Correct. And all those things.
So yeah, we'll just keep babbling on podcast for you guys. We appreciate it. All right, Johnny, why don't you do the giveaway? Just don't give it to anyone in another country.
All right. We are
because then we get pizza and nobody else gets pizza if we end up having to give it away.
That's true. We're on random.org. We have 203 people eligible for our giveaway this week. 201 of them are signed up for Patreon, and then there were 2 people that went to SmashBoxxTV / weekly
winners.
Giveaways or not weekly winners.
Okay.
I think it's weekly giveaways. I'll have to look at what that thing is. I promise I'll find it at some point. So anyway, 203 people. Terry, what number should we pick?
Wow, that's a good question. What number should we pick tonight? I feel like my default is always 2. That's so boring. Let's double that.
4?
4.
4.
4.
All right. The 4th number we draw will be our winner this week. Our first number is 132.
How are they sorted tonight?
First name tonight.
Yes.
Second number is 116. Third number is
Keith
48.
Almost guessed it.
Our fourth number, 164.
Oh, so that's going to start with like an S.
R.
Okay.
Roger Shaw. Roger Shaw, congratulations. You are winning this week's Patreon giveaway.
Heck yeah. Nice work, Roger.
Give your information to Terry Miller, and he will get you a disc at some point.
Or possibly a T-shirt.
Or a T-shirt or something. Ooh.
Ooh-wee.
Ooh.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
That could be fun.
A disc or a T-shirt or something. Yeah, Roger, we appreciate the support. Don't know how long you've been in on the action, but frankly, I don't care. You're in on it to some regard. You maybe have only given us $1 so far in the last month. Maybe you've been with us for 6 years, and you've given us tens of dollars.
Roger Shaw has been with us about 63 months.
Holy cow, Roger. We love you more than most.
No, okay, I lied. Not that long. He has been with us since 2019.
Oh, thank you, Roger. Love it. Ryan, yes, you must have been close. Hey, Ryan, we should talk offline or right now during the show.
You're two-way.
Now that I am getting closer to locking in our official agreements and details with the Disc Golf Pro Tour and commentary and obligations, events. I'm trying to get things locked in with the county, and in hopes of running my my regular PDGA, one of my PDGA B tiers, the Skyline Classic. We're gonna have to take a look at some dates. Then again, there might be, could have feet of snow in April at this point. Jeez.
No kidding. You should see the pile of snow outside my house.
Oh my gosh, it's like piling up.
Somebody on the board asked Terry, as this is kind of a little AMA, what is the best meal that you cook? Like, if you had to pick something like, hey, I'm going to cook my signature dish tonight, and what would that be? What would your family be like? Oh, dad's cooking XYZ.
I am not much of a cook. And because my kids are little bratty, whiny kids, they complain. Just like 2 days ago, I said to my daughter, how would you feel about lasagna? I'm like, it's got literally everything you like. Any kind of meat, we could go with any kind of meat. We could do a chicken or a hamburger or whatever. It's got cheese. It's got noodles. It's got pastas. Like, it's everything you like. And she's like, no.
Which is funny because we've done dinners together. My wife will sometimes bring over a meal, and it's every once in a while you're like, my kids won't eat that. But when my wife brings it over, they tend to eat it, which is funny.
Yeah, I know, and that's a whole nother story. I totally agree with you.
And I don't know if they're just being
polite.
And
your wife often makes lasagna, which I love.
I know.
But I had suggested that I make it, and then I said, so yeah, why don't I just make that? I would like to make that. I haven't made it in forever. And she's like, nah. And I said, but it's everything you like. And she goes, yeah, so it's got noodles and sauce. And I said, yep. She's like, but you don't like spaghetti. I'm like, touche. She's right. Like, it's essentially the same stuff. Maybe prepared slightly differently, but not by much. But yeah, I also complain about how I don't really care for spaghetti when it's had. I hate spaghetti noodles. I mean, if I'm going to really start a fight against anything,
sure.
I hate stringy spaghetti. And so usually different noodles are prepared because I hate like angel hair pasta spaghetti noodles. They're annoying. They're annoying. That's what they are. That's the
like
best
they don't
word.
Taste bad or anything.
No,
they're just bothersome to you.
Yeah, they're just annoying. I'd rather have like little rotini, like
sure,
like spirals or something.
Or like tonight, my wife made chicken pesto with more of a flat noodle.
Yeah,
in the crock pot. So, but so what is your?
Oh gosh,
me.
Go ahead.
Like when I think of Terry Miller cooking something, and I know this sounds so generic, chicken breast with cheese.
Yeah,
like that was always your kind of go-to thing for just real simple. It's not like no one would go, wow, this is the best thing I've ever eaten, but it reminds me of you when I
yeah, that would actually probably lead the charge. Or again, it's clearly not difficult, but my older daughter loves it. She thinks I make like a panini, like a grilled ham and cheese type sandwich. She thinks I make them better than anybody else. She thinks they somehow taste better when I make them, even though she makes them for me, and I think they taste fine. But she claims that mine taste better for some reason. So I get a little fancy with them sometimes. I've done that, but no, I don't really have a dish.
For me,
Yeah, what would you make?
I cook usually. If I cook, it's gonna be one of two things, like a kind of a standard like steak and potato, which very simple. Take the steak out, sear it, put it in the oven for a while, let it go, throw some garlic mashed potatoes. Like my wife likes that. And granted, my wife will like anything that she doesn't have to cook because she's primarily the cook. The other thing that I really like, and I found that I'll have to dig up the recipe a while ago, like a 5-cheese ziti. I stole that recipe from like, I don't know if it was an Olive Garden, but you go to one, it's like, hey, recreate this recipe. And so you take it, and then I made very slight modifications to it, but there's that, and those are kind of the two meals that if I'm gonna cook. My wife, strangely enough, Kraft macaroni and cheese. My wife loves it when I cook it because I usually throw in like different extra cheese, and sometimes it's one of the few times I really love eating hot dogs is when it's in mac and cheese.
Cut them up and put them in there.
Yeah. But I mean, that's not like cooking meal. That's more
that's
boiling water, noodles, and then whatever the orange powder is. I'm assuming it's cheese, but I couldn't be sure.
I don't know.
Chris Government says y'all don't eat greens up in Wisconsin. Yeah, eat plenty. Eat lots of. I love vegetables. I just don't cook them. My wife is the cook in the house, and she makes phenomenal vegetables. Like usually her lasagna has 2, 3, 4 different types of vegetables that she likes to cut up and hide in there. She'll do like a chicken pot pie with different vegetables in there, like squash or I'm trying to think what else she puts in it. I don't know. I don't ask questions because if I don't cook, if I don't cook it, I don't have a right to complain about it. I can either say no, I'm not eating it, and I'll get something myself, but you can never complain about it.
Do you like red peppers?
Yeah, I like pretty much all peppers. Yellow peppers, I'm not a fan of.
You don't like hot peppers?
No, it's different. But green, red, yellow, like all the peppers are pretty good. Yellow is probably my least favorite, but I still eat them. Yeah, we'll cut up peppers and just eat them as a snack.
Matt Shaw says actual greens. What are actual greens?
Or are you talking like salad greens, collard greens,
like spinach and Brussels sprouts, broccoli?
Yeah, my wife makes phenomenal broccoli with like Lowry's on it. I love it. I don't like regular, like it's got to be cooked broccoli.
What does celery count for, Keith?
I don't like celery. Screw celery, no matter what you put on it.
Celery is just like wet cardboard, right?
No,
like
it's like stringy.
They're wet straws.
Yeah.
Wet.
Celery's the worst.
Paper straws.
Broccoli. I love me some broccoli.
Ray says you handle spicy foods. Ray, I'm the spicy food guy here.
Yeah, I'm not so much spicy food. Like I don't mind it, but it's not my thing usually. Although I've been slightly more and more with spicy food.
Here's a quick side note. We're gonna get completely back off subject.
Oh, that's fine.
I was super excited way back when I went and covered the event in November or October. Covered the Halloween event in Vegas. There was this insane deal through Caesars related places, and because I have a Wyndham's card, your Wyndham's rewards, you can actually have it match your status. Little quick pro tip for all of you out there. You can have it match your status, which is very advantageous for Caesars. So I booked, when I was there, I ended up booking for what I assumed was going to be the Pro Tour week for Vegas. Got an insane deal. $31 a night without resort fees. Yes, you heard me, folks. Without the resort fees, they waived those due to the status that I had. Amazing. The other night, I went out there and I had to adjust my reservation slightly, and I have it for the link, which for those in Vegas know that's also where the high roller is and is attached to essentially the Ferris wheel. But I'm at the link, which is an awesome hotel. It's an insanely cheap price. And I adjusted the reservation literally like 3 days ago. For the Monday arrival to the Monday departure, all that stuff. Yesterday, I get an email. It says, hey, we've got your reservation, and sorry, unfortunately, it'll be closed, and we're moving you next door to Harrah's. which is also a Caesars related place, and we're going to put you in a comparable room, blah, blah, blah. And I just think I literally changed the reservation 3 days. You're just now notifying people that wing or that section of the hotel is closed? Like, why did you let me adjust a reservation 72 hours prior just to then turn around and say, oh, hey, we're going to have to move you to another hotel? I'm completely baffled by that. It doesn't make any sense. I thought it was weird. And all I really hope for is some slot machine tokens or something. I'm just kidding. They're not going to give me those. Anyway, I thought it was weird that they would have you do that.
I don't know.
Why would you, like, do you know what I mean? Like, could you, okay, same thing. Like, an airline lets you, no, even airlines, because at least, like, airlines, it makes sense when they're like, oh, the flight's been changed or weather or whatever, all these other conditions. But to let you book at a hotel just to have you 2 days later say, oh, no, you can't stay there. It was really weird to me. All right, Ray says out on the board, there was a video of Kevin Jones eating a granola Reaper pepper. Carolina. Wow, pepper. Granola. Carolina Reaper pepper a couple years back, and it was pretty funny. I think it was on Seppo's vlog. That surprisingly is something I haven't done yet, but I feel like I have to.
Crazy hot pepper.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't seem smart, but I still feel like it's something I should probably do.
No, it's never smart. Never smart at all.
What's the hottest thing you remember ever eating?
Honestly,
nothing out of the ordinary.
Nothing out of the ordinary.
So you've never, like, a super hot sauce, like,
nope.
you wouldn't even bother to, like, oh, hey, try this.
Like, I would take a little bit, put it on my tongue or something.
Sure.
Like, oh, let's see how this tastes. But honestly,
I know it doesn't interest you.
Yeah, like my palate. I remember we would go to what was that wings place that was right down from Valley View, or
Quaker Steak.
We go to Quaker Steak.
They had the Inferno wings or something.
I would look at the wings and I'd go, ooh, the
Atomic or whatever,
the Parmesan one. That was spicy for me, and that was like, it wasn't like overly, but it was like, yeah, that's and that was like still in the green of the green to red. That was like right at the, it was like one step above ranch. Okay, maybe not quite, but it was kind of, and I was like, but lately, over the past year or two, I've been, when we cook Mexican food here, I'm trying to add more and more spice to it because it feels like it's like, and I don't know if it's, honestly, I thought about this. I don't know if it's because maybe, I was thinking of this just a couple of weeks ago, like after we had COVID, and I'm like, I wonder if I lost some of the senses. Like I'm craving
permanently
craving more spice. So I don't know.
Huh? Wow, you're getting wild. All right. Yeah. And a quick side note, due to maybe I mentioned it or not already, there was a possible exposure to someone of this, of that at my daughter's school. Oh, yeah. Her and I went and took some more tests. I am 0 for 3. No, 4. I've now had 4 COVID tests.
That's great.
And somehow keep avoiding it.
That's great.
I'm a winner.
Yeah, I guess so.
A winner in life.
You're going to end up getting it like right before you get your first shot. And it's going to be like, all right, Terry's got his shot scheduled. And then, they're going to be like, oh, sorry, you currently can't do it.
Yeah, somehow I've managed to steer clear of it. Could totally see you going skydiving, Terry. Yeah, I'd like to do that at some point.
Would you go skydiving if it were free for Johnny or Terry? Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah, I need to go. I would like to go skydiving. I haven't clearly made a large concerted effort to do it, to go like out of my way for it, but I have no problem with the concept of going out and doing it. Robert says, Valley View, Quaker Wings? You from Cleveland? No, but Valley View Park is in New Berlin, Wisconsin, and they had a Quaker Steak and Lube, which is, in fact, an Ohio-based company, wings company.
I believe so.
And then it was there for a few years, and then it ultimately went out of business.
Something else now.
Now it's a Point Burger Bar, I think now.
Yeah, Point Burger Bar.
Is what it is.
You're right.
And, in fact, it was one of my favorite places to go, and actually some of my favorite boneless wings to have of anywhere you can get them. That was one of my favorite places, and it is no longer a thing there. So you have to go to somewhere else to get them.
I went to the dentist today with my kid.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I've been contemplating in the back of my head for many years now is getting my bottom teeth fixed because they're a little crooked.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I asked the dentist, I was like, so I'm thinking about like maybe Invisalign. And he's like, okay, yeah, you could, yeah, I see that. And he's like, you'd have to do it for the top and bottom because we want to make sure everything's, I'm like, all right, no problem. And he looks at my mouth and he goes, oh yeah, you have 3 of your wisdom teeth yet? I'm like, yeah, they kind of, my dentist when I was a kid said they had plenty of room to grow. And he's like, yeah, we'd have to pull those out.
Ouch.
Probably to make sure there was room to push everything around. And I was like you pull them out? And he's like, yeah, more than likely.
Not just like wiggle them and move them. Like,
well, they talked about actually like shaving one of the teeth in order to make some room. And I was like, I'm like, so you could like put me under for that? And he's like, well, we have some, we would find some sedation dentistry or something. I'm like, no, I'm talking like knock me the out because I don't think I play that game. like I don't want anything to do with someone ripping teeth out at my age. I think I'm pretty good then. Like, and I've got no reason. Like they're but I think the dentist was a little taken back when I was like, no, I would need to be knocked out. He's like, well, you'd have to talk to whoever's doing that.
He's like, you have to see this guy outside of the office about a half hour before coming in. He'll set you up with what you really need.
He just clubs you.
That would be one way to go about it.
Darren says that seems like a waste of money. Braces or Invisalign in your 40s. I don't think so. For multiple reasons. One, I think it probably helps. It helps keep the teeth probably in the right position and clean for when I do get even older, But every time I go to the dentist, like even today, the woman's like, "Have you been doing something different this over the last 6 months?" She's like, "Your teeth are immaculate," and I'm like, "No, I don't even." I told him like I rarely floss even. Like I do occasionally, but like I just brush regularly. That's like the thing you're supposed to do in the morning, at night. She's like, yeah, whatever you're doing, just keep it up. And I'm like, so very little.
That sounds
great. It's thankful. I'm ecstatic for it, but I'm just like, she sounded genuine. She's like, yeah, she's like, it's way better than last time. And last time was good. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't literally don't do anything.
Wow. You sound like an electronic toothbrush commercial, ready.
I am an electronic
John, you are clearly
user.
Fishing for a sponsorship or some kind of deal. Yeah.
Sonicare, if you're out there. I'm a regular user.
Johnny V is your guy.
Twice a day.
Sounds like a good idea. Or the question when they're like, how often do you floss? And you're like, no, the question is, how often do you floss me? Like, that's the real question.
Yeah, that's kind of what
When's the last time you flossed? Well, when's the last time you flossed?
Can you check my records? When was the last time I was here?
Cody says, yay or nay, another competing tour that would compare or outdo the DGPT. A good thing? Competition among tours win over players, thus the media and money will follow. I mean,
I think it could be. The competition, I think, in general is a pretty good thing.
Sure. And I guess my comment to that would be the national tour has had its growth and development, its triumphs, its tribulations. The Pro Tour has come along and has excelled in some ways and still has room to grow in others. I guess I think what would we gain from that? Well, yeah, what would we gain? I mean, right now there's this. People complain we don't have enough live and or post-production to cover all of the action that's currently taking place on any given weekend. Inevitably, somebody on the third card shoots a hot round, and we literally see 3 shots from them just because of the way it worked out. Or someone off the Chase FPO card, shoots a hot round, or somebody, makes their move. Whether it was live and or captured in post, or maybe both, or maybe neither. And now you're talking about then taking our players and making them choose. And it would almost be impossible to have a cohesive way of doing it.
No, you couldn't. And not at this point, because with as many event stops as there are, it would be very difficult to have a
Yeah, because you'd almost need to have somebody saying, hey, we're running something on the West Coast during these 4 months, while somebody else is running an entire series on the East Coast during those 4 months, because you're not going to be able to jump back and forth. And then you're talking about having the venues that are good or great. Yeah, I could it happen? Sure, it could. I mean, if the right million or billionaire company or organization came along, if we always say if a Nike or a Coca-Cola came along tomorrow and said, hey, we want the Coca-Cola tour, sure, they could hire some people. They could create a media team. They could duplicate everything that's happening on the Pro Tour. They could find ways to improve on it. Maybe they have this absurd amount of money and budget. The question is, with the leadership and all of the other things in play, would they be there, and would it be enough to lure players over? Because money alone, I mean, if you have a terrible experience with terrible rules on a terrible course and terrible organization, or too many of those boxes get checked, winning an extra $500 on a weekend isn't going to be worth it. Now, you have a bunch of terrible things go wrong, but you still take home a $25,000 paycheck every weekend. Well, then our players would find a way to get over it. But, yeah, I don't know. Could it happen? Sure, I guess it could.
Sure, I would see it almost growing organically. Imagine someone kind of doing something like a Silver Series with what the DGPT has, but they say, oh, cool, we're going to run our little series on the opposite side of the country that you're on. And maybe over the next couple of years, it picks up a little steam, and you start seeing your mid-tier players kind of maybe start to drift off over there. And now you've got a competing tour where normally where you'd have everybody at one location, the top 20 players, you see 5 through 12 going to this other tour. It definitely could happen. I don't think it will by any means. I think there's only so many weekends we have in a year, and the Pro Tour has such a head start right now. But I think there's in general, competition tends to bring out the best in a lot of aspects. And I don't necessarily think it could hurt.
Well, and I guess here would be maybe in a perfect scenario. What if half of the top men and half of the top women, not necessarily evenly, but every other, so to speak, alternated, went on one tour and the other half went to the other tour, and so you may have Paul playing all of one tour stops while Ricky plays all the other, and you've got Calvin at one, but Chris Dickerson always goes to the other, and they never intersect. Is that good? Is that bad? I mean, we've got fan bases, and oh, well, so-and-so only plays that tour, and so-and-so doesn't cross over to this tour. Yeah. That could be good, bad, or indifferent. Or when a place, I use an example like a Charlotte, says, hey, we want to host the Pro Tour Championships. They're in their base and their club and their rallying cry is, hey, the best in the world are all going to be here. We're going to showcase the best in the world on our courses with everything we have to offer. Would cities and venues be as excited if they're like, we're going to put on the best damn event, it's going to be incredible, and we're guaranteed exactly half of the best players in the world because the other half are guaranteed to be on the other side? I don't know if that excitement level remains.
It might not. It very well might not.
Yeah, there's not a good way to know. And he says, Cody then says, follow up, to gain better marketing strategy, raising the bar for media pay and player pay, a healthy competitive competition among tours. Sticky, yes, but a way to move the sport in a heavy way faster. Yeah, maybe, but you're also, you just got done saying having healthier pay for media and for the players. Where's all this healthier pay coming from? Outside of, somebody just dropping into the sport with a ton of money. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. I mean, again, let's be real. If Coca-Cola did tomorrow say, hey, we want our own disc golf tour, we don't care anything about what exists currently, we want entirely our own tour, something could get developed. Somebody would run it, and it absolutely could be a legitimate resource and viable vehicle. How many people would jump on it? Where are they playing? What are the rules? Depends on the money. You know, if they're going to win marginally more money and there's not a big payoff, then no, I don't think they'll move. If they could go from winning $5,000 on a weekend to guaranteeing $25,000 for first every weekend, yes, then they'll probably jump ship pretty quickly, and they'll be playing the Eager Beaver, of course, every weekend, and that's fine too. I mean, let's face it, money will talk, but I think it's going to have to be a lot to get them to sway. And that's assuming the Coca-Cola Tour has some media exposure, has all these other things that are part of being a good, successful tour. Would you rather win $10,000 in a vacuum with absolutely nobody knowing or caring, or would you rather win $5,000 and the entire world knows and it's promoted like crazy in every possible social media way?
Yeah, I think it depends on who you are, where you're at in your career,
and how much they have to pay the media crew to be there. I'm just kidding. Darren says, with a counterpoint, it's terrible. One tour is hard enough to finance and keep afloat, and even harder to keep progressing and improving. Making a second tour seems like a terrible idea, especially in the infancy of DGPT. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of hurdles, and that's kind of what I was saying is, if somebody, I'll say this, unless your pockets are as deep as the blue ocean, I don't know how somebody's sitting at home right now thinking, you know, this DGPT thing's going pretty well these last few years. I think we should start a competing tour. I don't know who's thinking that, unless you're insanely rich or a little wacky.
Well, let's put it this way. The Euro Tour. What if the Euro Tour suddenly starts paying out massive amounts of money? They have some sort of, it's already a tour that's established.
Okay.
And suddenly we see players being like, well, no, I mean, if I stay over in Europe, I can make way more money over there. And they might not have the media exposure. It might not have the media crews yet. But the way I see something like that happening, if the Disc Golf Pro Tour sees players splitting off, whether it's a Euro Tour or some new made-up tour.
Disc Golf World Tour?
Disc Golf World Tour comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Hell freezes over. It might be. It's upstairs. I don't know. And let's just say it comes back. The Pro Tour is going to look at it and go, why are our players leaving? It's going to drive competition. It's going to look at them and they go, oh, look, they're doing this and this right. We definitely need to focus on that. Maybe that wasn't a big priority for them, and now it is. But I mean, what if the Euro Tour guaranteed a $15,000 winner every week for the six stops, right? I think
last year was going to be 6. I'm not sure how many it is now this year. But.
So 6, 7 stops. If they said, cool, everyone, guess what? We have a huge sponsor here over in Europe. What happens? Do the players start splitting off, spending way more time in Europe, thinking that they can make money? I mean, depending on how deep they pay.
Yeah,
in this and that.
or what the economics are of being in Europe for that much longer. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, there's the one downside
because they've got media groups over there as well.
Sure. Yeah.
So it would be interesting to say the least. I don't necessarily know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but it would definitely be interesting.
Smashbox Discord. What I've been Galactic Conqueror says. Porch Mike says, "Where are all the rich people when I win the lotto?" Famous words. I'm hosting a mega pay tourney to force the bar higher, but I'm sure there are plenty of actual rich people who could do the same thing. I don't know where the rich people are, but
we're working on getting there.
Yeah, I don't know where they're at, but I'm not holding my breath on them. Serious question. Is there a Euro version of Jomez? Do European people
watch mostly
EU
North
people?
American
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, they do. I know that Natural Born Disc Golfer has now taken a much more serious approach to hosting and creating coverage. I know there are a couple of other media groups. I spoke with a gentleman out of New Zealand who put together some really good coverage. So, yeah, I mean, is there anything as large and successful and as widely known as Jomez? No, but part of that success is that Jomez has been at all of the biggest events with all of the best players. So therefore, they're also, and they put out a great product, obviously, that's without saying, but that also helps drive their bus. So I think even if you had a production company that was leaps and bounds above what Jomez is doing somehow, and if you had that over somewhere in Europe, they're going to put out a really good product. The views, for instance, aren't going to be quite the same simply because we have such a concentration of high-rated players here in the U.S. and household names. So, yeah. But yeah, I think there's good companies over there, and I think they're going to continue to grow. Is LCG M8? I don't know. I don't know.
I think
him like CCDG did.
I think he's still around. I don't necessarily think he's doing a lot of filming these days.
Galactic Conqueror named a company and says they're killing it. I'm not going to even try to pronounce that. I should check out that Natural Born Disc Golf then. Hopefully they have English language coverage because seeing, I know that they all can speak English and speak it very well. I don't know how or what they record in though. And maybe that's something that I don't want to say holds them back. I guess it depends on who they're going after as a viewer. I mean, if they're not worried about the U.S. And the viewership, then they won't be doing in English. But yeah, that would be something I'm sure that they would have to take into consideration.
And that's something I would love to do with DGN, a second set of commentators overseas.
Sure.
Just the issue we run into is they're on a totally different timetable than us. So the small amount of viewership you would have at 1, 2, 3 in the morning,
sure,
almost doesn't feel worth it when they can just wait for another 12 hours and get post-production stuff. But I think it could be kind of cool to have someone over there be able to pull one of our streams and restream it either to the Disc Golf Network with a foreign language, probably Swedish, Finnish, something like that, something relatively popular over there. And we have actually looked at other things such as closed captioning for the Disc Golf Network, and we're just not. It's tricky to do. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, and I know that's a request that comes in, and I know it's something that will continue. I think that's another one of those elements where the better technology gets, the more it catches up, the more it advances, the more chances we'll have for seamless integration and things that just work that much better and more smoothly. And that's all we can really hope for at this point. So, all right, guys. Sounds like we're going to call it a night. I'm going to go do some winter swimming in the water main hole that's outside Johnny's house. We'll see how warm that is.
I bet you it's pretty warm.
You think so?
No. I mean, yes, Terry. I bet you it's really warm.
Just give me a towel. I'll go figure it out one way or another. In all seriousness, we do want everyone to stay safe. I'm sorry if you've been lacking power or have been struggling with any of those types of things. Yeah, stay safe, stay warm. If anything, hopefully this should be an eye-opener really for everybody. If you are in any way underprepared, start thinking about an emergency plan from time to time. Just last week, I went somewhere. I ended up being outside longer than I thought I'd be, and all I thought was, how do I not at least even have my mittens or my gloves with me? Like, even if you don't wear them all the time, like, have them accessible when it's 20 below zero. I mean, just, yeah, think a little bit in your worst case scenarios, but
Water,
stay safe
snacks,
out there.
Gloves, blanket.
Maybe towel, blanket, your swimming trunks, whatever you need.
Hey, you never know.
We're going to close it out. This has been SmashBoxxTV's podcast 337's after show. Lots of random rambling as always. We love all of our viewers, subscribers, downloaders, Patreon, and otherwise. Thank you guys so much for being here. Looking forward to a great All-Star weekend for Johnny and Terry and Dana and the regular show. We'll see you next week. You step inside the Smashbox.